struggling to get up on YouTube before.
So where is Mr. Bishop? He was here, right? He had to be here for this meeting. So where's what Santa Fonseca own is it?
Sure, probably number two or number one.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
yeah, I have all the names already there. I'm just making sure what I do now. For example,
I don't ever see that. I don't ever see that. I'm not gonna see it. I'm not gonna see it.
Everybody, no cell phones. Please put your cell phones away. Put them on vibrate, please. Thank you so much.
Put them away.
you ready?
I put 'em away. I'm not taking a standardized test.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the St. Thomas District Committee of the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands, I would like to warmly welcome you to tonight's Senatorial Forum. My name is Dr. Kaiser A. Callwood, and I'm honored to serve as one of your moderators this evening. Joining me this evening will be my fellow moderator, Dr. Jacqueline C. Adonis. Tonight's forum provides an opportunity for voters to hear directly from the candidates seeking to represent the people of the Virgin Islands. We thank each of the candidates for their willingness to participate and share their vision, priorities, and ideas with the community. But before we begin, I would like to recognize several distinguished guests and Democratic Party leaders who are here with us this evening. Democratic Party State Chair Carol Burke, Democratic Party Vice Chair Kevin Rodriguez, National Committee Woman Risa E.S. Richards. We also have our Acting Executive Director Kais Sam, St. Thomas District Chair and the lead host for today, Barbara A. Peterson. Please join me in thanking them for their leadership, service, and continued commitment to our Democratic Party and our community. Just before we move on into the housekeeping, I would like to invite our Democratic Party State Chair, Carol Burke, for some words.
Thank you, Dr. Kaiser Coward. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Dr. Kaiser Coward himself holds a couple of hats within our organization. He is our distinguished treasurer, and he don't let us miss a beat with that. And then he's a vice chair for the district. And I want to really thank you for coming here this evening because, honestly, this event is about all of you and everybody outside of this venue. It's about St. Thomians realizing that their needs must be adequately addressed by those who come forward to represent them. It's not about popularity, and it's not about show. We are in serious times, and we need leaders who are going to commit to addressing our problems, our issues adequately. Not just half-stepping, but completely. Tonight, we have an array of candidates. And let's give our candidates, they'll be introduced, but let's give them a warm welcome applause. Because doing this, stepping forward in the public domain to say, I have what it takes to deliver for the people of the Virgin Islands is not an easy task. We don't get beat up around here. I know, because I've been there. But beyond that, our commitment to solve problems is tested every single day. Because as problems go, problems come. But we can only get to where we need to get to with the right leaders in place. I've been doing this for well over 30 years. And I ain't stopped. You know why? Because beyond the politics of it all, it is knowing that this is my home. It is knowing that everything I do and every day I wake up, I want better for my people. And I know these people feel the same way. So I know we're going to have a robust engagement tonight. And I want to deliver a successful forum this evening on behalf of the Democratic National Committee. And while they're not here, I want for us to also give them a round of applause. Because without their support, folks, without their support, what we are today, a modernized political party, it could never have happened. Their resources and the financial backings made it that way for us. And so we are going ahead with our first event today. Thank you, Barbara, and thank you, Kaiser, for a wonderful evening.
Thank you, State Chair Burke. This evening, we are broadcasting tonight's forum live on the air, The Vibe 107.9, as well as via Facebook Live, MDM, and via YouTube, MDM Live. Whether you're here in person, listening on the radio, watching online, we appreciate your participation in our democratic process. The candidate lineup was determined through a lottery system conducted prior to the start of tonight's forum. Candidate was asked to arrive on or before 5:30 p.m. to draw their numbers, which determined both their seating arrangement and their initial speaking order. We thank all candidates for their cooperation and commitment to a fair and orderly process. Tonight's forum will be conducted using a round-robin format designed to ensure fairness and equal participation among all candidates. We will begin with candidates' introduction. Each candidate will receive 2 minutes for an opening statement to introduce themselves and share their vision with the voters. Following the introductions, we'll move into the round-robin issue discussion segment. For each question, the moderator will ask one question. Each candidate will receive 2 minutes to respond. No rebuttals will be permitted. Electronic devices may not be used to research answers during the forum. The order of response will rotate for each question. For example, question 1, candidate number 1 will answer first. Question 2, candidate number 2 will answer first. And question 3, candidate 3 will answer first, and so on. This rotation will continue throughout the 12-question discussion segment to ensure that every candidate has an equal opportunity to lead off a response. Tonight's questions will focus on issues that directly impact the residents of the Virgin Islands, including economy and jobs, healthcare, education, public safety, infrastructure and transportation, utilities, energy and WAPA, government accountability, housing, federal relations, and leadership. We will then move into a lightning round consisting of 5 rapid response questions. Candidates are reminded that these questions require a yes or no response or a brief one-sentence answer as directed. Each candidate will receive 10 seconds to respond. This segment is designed to highlight perspectives while maintaining an engaging space. Following the issue discussion, members of the audience will have an opportunity to participate. Questions will be collected by members of the Democratic District Committee. 4 audience questions will be selected. Ms. Sam will come around with those cards and will provide anyone with a card. So if you need one, just simply raise your hand. Questions will be received beforehand solely to ensure we do not repeat questions that have already been addressed during the forum. For each audience question, all candidates will receive 1 minute to respond. At the conclusion of the forum, each candidate will receive 2 minutes for a closing statement. This will be their final opportunity to summarize their message and speak directly to the voters. Before we begin, We ask that everyone please place their phones on silent or vibration mode. For your convenience, the restrooms are located at the rear of the auditorium. Please exit through the double doors and proceed down the stairs. We ask that you use the handrails while going down the stairs. We encourage supporters of all candidates to show their enthusiasm. We simply ask that everyone remain respectful throughout the evening. Please cheer for your candidate, but refrain from making disruptive, disrespectful, or negative comments about any other candidate. Tonight is about informing voters and promoting meaningful dialogue about the future of our Virgin Islands. Thank you once again to our candidates, our audience and volunteers, and everyone watching and listening throughout the Virgin Islands. We appreciate your commitment to civic engagement and the democratic process. At this time, we will begin with our candidate introductions and opening statements. We will start with Ms. Francis.
Thank you for the warm introduction. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, fellow senators. Good evening, aspirants. Good evening to the listening audience and to the viewers that are viewing right now. My name is Chanel Fina Francis. I'm a candidate for senator. My candidate number is number 7 on the ballot. This isn't my first rodeo. This is actually my third. I ran in 22. I placed 8th. I ran in 24. I placed 8th again. So I'm running once more. My platform focuses on youth, the elders, and housing. Those 3 components are most of my priorities. With housing, I believe everyone deserves an affordable housing option in this territory. I have a background in real estate, which is why housing is very important to me. Our elders, they need to be treated with dignity and care because they are the foundation of why I'm standing before you today. Youth, of course, I have programs on my platform, and I can explain in detail once we dive into the conversation. I'm not running for title. I'm running because this means something to me. I really feel like if great minds come together, we can change the trajectory of this territory. Again, my name is Chanel Fina Francis, candidate for senator of the 37th Legislature. My number is 7 on the ballot. Thank you.
Next, Senator Lewis.
Good evening, everyone. First and foremost, I'd like to give God praise and thanks for allowing me to be a continued public servant. And I think from the time I've born, that's all I've known is serving the people and understanding what the people is going through. So I'd like to give God thanks first and foremost. Then I'd like to thank the Democratic Party for allowing us here to be having a platform for all of us to share our ideas with the community. 2 years ago, I saw the job description and I understood the job. So I put my name on the ballot. I was successful, and I thank you all for your vote and support. I continue every day to go, trying to make life better for the people of the Virgin Islands. In my first year, my first term, I didn't just talk about it. I've been delivering results, making life easier and better for the people of the Virgin Islands. I passed a bill, $2 million to complete the Leonardo Trautman Drive. I sponsored legislation, signed into law already, to allow parents who have children with disabilities 4 hours and a half every month to carry your child to a doctor with a child with a disability, whether it's autism, hearing impaired, whatever it is, to carry that child to the doctor. 4 hours, 4 hours off every month. I sponsored legislation, signed into law, over $300,000 to fix the street lighting from UVI to Rappoon Hill. The parts are here now. WAPA has promised me that they're going to engage. Right here in this very campus, I just passed legislation signed by the governor about a week ago to expand this campus, offering and transferring a parcel of land. This is the bread and butter issues we need to do. In this upcoming, I am about strengthening economy, education, and infrastructure. And with your help and support, don't forget number 6 on the ballot, Avery Lewis. Thank you very much, and everybody have a wonderful evening.
Next up, Mr. Bailey.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Peter Bailey. I'm number 5 on the ballot. And quite simply, my campaign began with a dream and a promise. It began with a dream that brought my mother to the Virgin Islands, my father to the Virgin Islands, and took me all the way to America. And I became the dream. Being 23 years old, writing for Time Magazine, the Miami Herald. But forever, home never left me. It was always in my heart. The promise I made to myself, if I ever become something, I would be a bridge. I would be the person for someone else here that I wanted to be. So what did I do? I launched Nightcap Media, which basically pioneered what people call podcasting. Because this is the home of Denmark, Vesey, Sonny Rollins, Aaliyah, Boston. This is greatness. And my fear is that that dream, I don't think we're dreaming anymore. So enough of what I've done, but this is what I've done. I believe in expansion of vocational programs for our youth. So what did I do? I brought Nightcap home to our kids, where the students filmed the show and learned media production. The hurricanes hit, which was the greatest achievement in my life. Basically, during those storms, I felt once again we needed a bridge. So I wrote an op-ed for the New York Times, and arguably that brought light to our home. But that wasn't enough. I said, I got to take this further. So I produced a series called Paradise Discovered, because I think the world needs to know who we are beyond a postcard. But beyond that, I said, how can we get the students involved in filmmaking? So I launched Unbreakable Film Academy. The Department of Education, the film school that they have right now, is made on my blueprint. But finally, during the pandemic of 2020, the violence, when I went to Yudorican, I just, how do I say it? I felt that we were gifted kids, but we didn't get the services we need. So I launched the Office of Gun Violence Prevention. I'll talk more, and my time is up. Thank you.
Next up, Mr. Smith.
Yes, greetings, my royal people. How art thou? And I hope everyone is feeling well and anticipating greatness. My name is Michael A. Smith. No debate. Number 8, please vote Michael A. Smith for Sen 8. 8 is definitely infinite, and 8 defines me in all ways. So I could keep on going on and on, or I could let you guys research about the infinite 8, because that's why I come to give the Virgin Islands. Greatness. I'm a man of the Most High, of God, serve a higher power who guide my steps along the way. And he sets me up when it's time to be set up. Because who the Most High bless, no one curse. You guys could participate, because I love to intertwine with my people. Because my first time running was 2024. That was number 14. Something new upon the scene. And I hope the Virgin Islands definitely know what I mean. And my platforms differently again is education, agriculture, youth development, senior citizens, veterans care, sports, parks, and recreations. Because the youth them out there, you don't see them dying at a fast rate before the elderly. Who's going to really take care of the elders if the future leaders ain't around? Who's going to inspire them, motivate them, encourage them to be better than they are? The answer is no debate. Michael A. Smith for Sen 8. Love alone, my royal people.
Next up, Senator Joseph.
A pleasant good evening, everyone. I want to take this opportunity to definitely thank the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands. I have always been a Democrat, True Blue, so I'm asking you to vote number 2, Carla Joseph. Send me back. Some of the things that I have fought for tirelessly in the legislature is young people. I've appropriated every year, monies for our young people and to provide those services that are critical. Why? Because each of us in here, in this community, benefited from services for our young people. I also have fought tirelessly to assure that we are educated. I passed a bill, which is now an act, which allows the University of the Virgin Islands to utilize our retirees to actually work in the university. Because I'm keenly aware that when we educate our people, our community becomes elevated. Those are critical part. But just to give you a little bit of background about me, I'm currently the Committee on Rules and Judiciary chairperson, which is the powerful committee in the legislature. It is a clearinghouse of all of the bills. I manage that with a level of integrity and seriousness because of my background in being a public manager certified. I'm also able to manage federal monies because when I worked in that arena and writing grants, I never sent back a dime to the federal government. So I am your check in the legislature. We also have a number of bills that are coming up. One is definitely looking at the Second Amendment, which is our gun bill. And so I'm urging you, again, my time is up, to vote number 2 on the ballot, Carla Joseph. Thank you so kindly.
Next up, Mr. Hodge.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rudell A. Hodge Jr., also known as Rudy. I am candidate number 12 on the Democratic primary ballot. To give you guys a little bit about myself, I am a trained attorney, currently barred in the Virgin Islands and New York. I was elected to the Constitution Convention in 2024, where I serve as the Vice Chair of Human Rights. And my platform is very simple. It's about preservation, respect, opportunity, and preparation. You can visit my website at electrudy, E-L-E-C-T-R-U-D-I. I do spell my Rudy with an I, not a Y.com. And you will see my entirety of my platform. I'm looking forward to a wonderful conversation tonight, and looking forward to you guys voting for me in the very future.
Next up, Mr. Hamilton.
Pleasant good evening to everyone. My name is Kashif Hamilton, born and raised in the Virgin Islands, a product of the public school system. I'm number 1 on your ballot. Most people who know me as a DJ, a community leader, a mentor, a coach. But right now, the Virgin Islands is going through tough times. We have crime that impacting our communities, WAPA still being unreliable and expensive. We have a youth that continue to leave the Virgin Islands because of lack of opportunities. So for me, my focus is very simple. Safer communities, more opportunities for our youth. Create a stable revenue source so that we could bring more monies back into our communities. With that, we need to invest. We have to invest in work development, sports, agriculture, technology. Once again, my name is Kashif Hamilton, number 1 on your ballot.
Next up, Mr. Brown Connors.
Good evening. Again, I am Joel Brown Connors, number 10 on your ballot for the primary election. I'm a born and raised Virgin Islander, born in St. Thomas, went through the public school system, currently working, I have 20 years of public service, 15 of those years in the government. I'm currently working for the Virgin Islands Police Department as a K-9 officer. Before that, I worked on the ambulance, still certified as an EMT. I'm the only police medic in the St. Thomas St. John district. Before that, I served 13 years as the commander for the Civil Air Patrol Cadet Program, the longest serving commander in the U.S. I've done a whole lot more throughout my career. I'm a farmer. This year makes 20 years that I've been farming in the Virgin Islands. I started at a young age. I've been through every turmoil the government of the Virgin Islands had to offer me, and I'm still farming, producing crops and produce, produce. We have, through our campaign, we have a bunch of initiatives where we're giving back to the community, encouraging backyard farming. That's one of our biggest things. So when we talk about agriculture, we are showing you that we can and do believe that our young people and our families can produce at home instead of importing. When it comes to the youths and youth development, that is second on our platform. We are encouraging after-school programs, things for the youths to do, cultural activities, bringing back on the weekends and after school, to encourage the youths to get involved in something other than crime. As a police officer, I've seen it all. As an EMT, I've seen it firsthand. I've seen the issues firsthand affecting the Virgin Islands, and I'm running not for title, but because too many of our Virgin Islanders are doing everything right and still struggling to survive. Running for office, try to change that and fix some of these low-hanging fruits that we can all live comfortably here in the Virgin Islands. Number 10 on your ballot, Joel Brown Connors.
Next, Ms. Leader.
Good evening, everyone. First, I want to say thank you to the Democratic Party for hosting this debate. Thank you to our senators who's here with us, because without them, we wouldn't be here. Thank you to the moderators. Thank you to Charlotte O'Malley for opening their doors. And special thank you to each and every one of you who showed up tonight, because it shows that you care for the Virgin Islands. So do I. My name is May Leader, and I'm running for Senate because it's simple. Our territory deserves better. My experience is not rooted into politics, but leadership. We all know what the problems are. High cost values, unstable schools, unsafe streets, limited health care. These are not mysteries. What has been missing is the will and the strategy to actually solve them. We do that by having honest conversations, partner leadership, and follow through. A few weeks ago, I watched the basketball team practice late at night. What moved me wasn't just their talents, it was their unity. They understood coming together as one make them much more stronger. And that's the spirit I want to bring into the legislature. I'm not running to divide. I'm running to create a safer community, stronger schools, reliable health care, safer streets for our children. May Leader means leadership in the future. And this future starts with you, not tomorrow, but right now. I am your candidate number 9.
Next up, Senator Blyden.
Thank you, Kai. First of all, I want to say good evening to all. I want to thank the Democratic Party of the Virgin Islands for putting this debate forward. I must say that I want to also say good evening to all of the participants and all of the aspirants that's running for the 37th legislature. My name is Marvin Blyden. Number 3 on your ballot. People may ask, this is my 6th term, people may ask, why are you running again? Which I've been hearing all the time. I run it because I care. I really do care. And I'm not satisfied with many of the things I'm seeing in our community right now. I believe as a public servant, that's what I call myself, a public servant. It takes a couple of things to be a public servant. Number 1, you must care, and I truly care about the people. Number 2, you must have a passion, a love of and for the people. And number 3, you must be an individual who is aggressive and want to see things get done. That is who I am. I apologize for being a little late because I was working. I'm the vice chair of the finance committee. We had a hearing again today, so I'm late. But nonetheless, I'm always early, always on time, always there to do the work. I must say though that when it comes to my passion, honestly, even before I came in this arena, has always been our young people. Housing for our people and our seniors. As a matter of fact, As a result of my passion, I have gone above and beyond my duties as a senator to address all three areas within our community in terms of advocating, in terms of bringing forward legislation, and in terms of doing what needs to be done in those arenas. For instance, as a result of being a chair of the Housing, Transportation, and Telecommunication Committee, I will follow up on my results with my I'll follow up. Thank you so much for the time. And again, my name is Marvin Blind, number 3 on the ballot.
Next up, Senator Fonseca.
Yes, then pleasant good evening to everyone. To say a special welcome. Yes, I'd like to say a special welcome to all of the aspirants and my colleagues. Can I get? Yes, this is perfect. Yes, so I'd like to say a special welcome to all my colleagues, the aspirants, the Democratic Party. I see we have Kaiser Calwood. I see the State Chair, Barbara Peterson, and also I see Carol Burke, the Territorial Chair, and welcome to everyone. My name is Ray Popa Fonseca. I'm a born Savanero, born in Savannah. I grew up in Bovoni. I attended public school. I attended Lockett School, Pearson Gardens in daycare. I went to James Madison School. I went to Garden Street School. They had a school there, Kamangata. I graduated from Eudora Ken. I won a full scholarship. I was always a top honor student. Went to Florida State University, studied accounting, hotel administration, and I finished my bachelor's. I got my master's at University of the Virgin Islands. All of my career, except for 2 years, has been as a public servant. Most of my career has been in the Housing Authority. I rose from an accountant, became the Chief Executive Officer of the Housing Authority, and I also served as the Deputy Commissioner for the Department of Health. So I've been at the top levels of government for many years, and my greatest honor that I ever received was to be selected by the people of this community to serve you in the 35th and the 36th legislature. In both legislature, I was selected by my colleagues to serve as the chairman of health, hospitals, and human services. Those are three big areas, and I have consistently been an advocate for the hospitals, healthcare, and also human services. In additionally, going forward, my campaign has always been about transparency and accountability, and I'd like to thank everyone. Ray Popa Fonseca, number 11 on the ballot.
Now we're going to move to the round robin format and forum part of it, and I would like to offer the mic to my other moderator, Dr. Jacqueline C. Adonis.
Thank you, Dr. Calwood. Protocol haven't already been established. The rules haven't already been read. Good evening, everyone. And may I take this opportunity to welcome you to tonight's forum. All right. I'm gonna get my glasses here, thank you. All right, so the first question will go to Senator Fonseca. I will read the question, and if you would have me, I will repeat it again. The topic is economic development. Tourism remains the primary source for the Virgin Islands economy. However, our dependence on this single industry concerns most residents. What specific policies, investments, or incentives would you support to diversify the economy beyond tourism and to create sustainable year-round economic opportunities?
Yes, thank you. Do I stand or I sit?
You can sit.
Okay.
Fine.
Okay, tourism, economic development. You know, in the 70s, the late 70s, when Farrelly was governor, the Virgin Islands was booming because we had a diverse economy. We had Martin Marietta and St. Croix, we had Hess, and we also had the light manufacturing industries. Lately, we have paralleled over into a tourism industry, and of course, we've lost the oil refinery. The Virgin Islands must have the Hess oil or Martin Marietta, the heavy industries back in the Virgin Islands, because we need to have a balanced source of income. In addition to that, if you notice, part of the benefits of being Virgin Islands is we get the rum cover over. So the rum revenues, which is more than $200 million to the government of the Virgin Islands, and since recently, through the help of our Congresswoman, we've been able to increase the rum revenues from 1025 to 1050 to 1125, resulting in additional 60 million. So yes, we need to diversify the economy, but we also need to continue to grow the hotels. As you realize, within the last 2 years, a new hotel has been built in St. Thomas. There's one under construction in Bottomay Bay, and as a matter of fact, there is a planned new hotel that's coming shortly in the discussion phase at Water Island. So the economy of the Virgin Islands must be diversified. However, what I want to stress too is that we have a unique opportunity where we have this $20+ billion of federal reconstruction, and through my colleagues' help, we've been able to vote where 5% of the gross receipt taxes are automatically being deducted, which in this year alone results in excess of $72 million additional to the economy of the Virgin Islands. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Fonseca. The same question goes to Ms. Francis. Ms. Francis, would you like me to repeat the question?
Please.
Tourism remains the primary source for the Virgin Islands economy. However, our dependence on this single industry concerns most residents. What specific policies, investments, or incentives would you support to diversify the economy beyond tourism and create sustainable year-round economic opportunities?
Thank you for the question. Thank you for repeating it. What I gathered from the question is I would offer revenue-generating options. Many other places I've visited use a particular product to attract visitors. For example, I'll use Italy. Italy specifically uses lemons as their product. Once you arrive to Italy, you must go to a welcome center and spend in that product. So we go to a lemon factory where all the products are lemons. So we have different agricultural options we can utilize. For example, our mangoes was Lush and Dog this year. We need to have a welcome center where visitors come, they're offered different mango products or soursop, whatever we decide, and we use that as a revenue generating option for the tourists that come by. So that would be an incentive or an offering I would suggest to boost our tourism product. Thank you.
Thank you for your response. Same question, Senator Lewis.
Thank you. Again, good evening. Avery Lewis, number 6 on the ballot. First and foremost, let me correct something. The rum cover over extended from 1050 to 1325. Let me correct that out there once and for all. Now, we know tourism is a leading industry, but some of the things that we could do is that we lost our market to the BVI, but there's still opportunities for us to regain our marine industry. But collectively, me and my colleagues would have to sit down and see how we could brainstorm, see how we could regain that market. I think there's ways that we could approach Congress to levy certain things on the BVI so that market could come back to the Virgin Islands. Previous legislators have opened the South Shore Trade Zone and St. Croix. We need to work with the EDA, put some warehousing and so forth, put some skin in the game, build some housing, I keep saying housing, sorry, warehousing and so forth, and so people could know that we are open for business. We have a robust and a very working EDA program. A lot of people like to talk about it, but just think about it. Two beneficiaries left, and it created a hardship for us. Of over nearly 40 million to 60 million people left. That's taxes that left. So if we work on those type of things, we could open this economy and expand a lot more. Thank you again. Avery Lewis, number 6 on the ballot.
Thank you, Senator Lewis. Mr. Bailey, the same question. Would you like me to repeat?
Yes, can you repeat the question?
Tourism remains the primary source for the Virgin Islands economy. However, our dependence on this single industry concerns most residents. What specific policies, investments, or incentives would you support to diversify the economy beyond tourism and create sustainable year-round economic opportunities?
I don't think tourism is a question. I think it's the thought process behind of it. I think the way we look at our tourism product. I have an issue with, we're going to build a hotel, but what jobs are going to the locals? I don't want our people to be the boss boys. I don't want our people to be the maids. We have to look at the tourism product and own the tourism product. We have an issue in these islands of understanding our people are the investment, right? So let's look at the college. We need to create a vocational program where these hotels say, if you're going to come into this territory, you have to educate our students to become the executives of these hotels. Furthermore, we send too much federal dollars back, too many. One of my platforms, my vision is to create the first office to maximize our grant funding. Millions of dollars should not be going back. If we maximize our federal dollars, there's less than 100,000 people in this territory. There's no reason that those federal dollars cannot bolster entrepreneurship in our territory. Let's look at tourism. Why are we spending millions of dollars to consultants offshore when we are in the content production age? YouTube right now is the largest media buyer in the world. We have young people here daily on their phones. Why aren't we giving these young people micro contracts to tell our story? The focus of my campaign is owning our story, looking within instead of externally. So it's how we look at the tourism product. We were blessed to be born in these enchanted lands, so we have an advantage. So how do we repackage and reinvent? By taking ownership of the product. I want our people to be the owners of these hotels because as everyone on this panel knows, these jobs are seasonal. And too many people build hotels, build companies, and import the managers and executives. So it's about internal productivity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Mr. Smith, same question.
Repeat the question again.
Certainly. Tourism remains the primary source for the Virgin Islands economy. However, our dependence on this single industry concerns most residents. What specific policies, investments, or incentives would you support to diversify the economy beyond tourism and to create sustainable year-round economic opportunities?
Yes, thank you for that question. Economics is one of the biggest functions that need to make these Virgin Islands run in anyhow and any way. I see myself as a go-getter, a money maker, and I am an entrepreneur, also a business owner. So ventures and incentives like even recycling. Our dump is trash to many, but trash could become someone's treasure. And we missing a lot of valuable dollars in recycling and stuff also like that. That could bring tourism products, that could even attract people from away to invest in our resources, which ties into agriculture. We need to learn our island and use the natural resources that we already have and promote the agriculture scene because everybody thinks agriculture is just about farming. No, we have multi-layered agriculture, we have fisheries, we have all type of different initiatives for agriculture, you know. We need to supply our own demands and our own needs. So once our people can feed itself and take care of itself, tourists love our food. One of my even ideas is like, Wrong Carnival is only village. The village is only open on Carnival. Why don't put a village somewhere permanently? That when the cruise ships or whoever comes in could really value our islands. You know what I mean? And sports is another thing. We have resilient, talented people here. And we need to invest in these sports parks and recreational facilities to develop their skills so they could see what the Virgin Islands is built on. Aliyah Boston showed the world. Tim Duncan showed the world. We have greatness right here. It's for we to nurture, tender, and care and direct them through education. Education is the key. Without education, we can't do nothing. We need to have education for skills, trades, that we could keep our money flowing through the Virgin Islands all the time. Thank you for your time, my people. Michael A. Smith, no debate. Vote number 8.
For the benefit of the viewing and listening audience, the first question is under the subtopic of economic development. Thank you for your response, Mr. Smith. Senator Joseph.
Thank you so much. I think the major issue that we have relative to the diversification of our economy is that we're not capitalizing on something that we have here that is very unique. We have sunlight 365 days a year. And if we were to really capitalize on being the sports mecca, wherein we're having FIFA Cups here, soccer, as well as all types of different types of sporting actions happening here, it would increase. You're looking at what is happening with the FIFA Cup for soccer. You're looking at what is happening with basketball. You're looking at what is happening with baseball, golf. These are major poles for our economy. These are high-end poles that would help boost our economy. Even cricket. Cricket is a booming industry. It's a billion-dollar industry. We need to get our cricket fields up and running. We need to be having tournaments. That's one of the reasons why I supported a bill to appropriate $1.5 million to establish the George E. Goodwin cricket field in Estate Nazareth. And we also supposed to have a cricket field in St. Croix. These are critical mechanisms that we can use. Also, we can use our maritime industry. Having a lot of our young people in those industry, as well as businesses supporting those maritime industry, is what is critical to help build and contain and sustain our economy going forward. We also have to try to get the Hess oil up and running and smaller businesses, because we have a lot of incentive. This government have incentivized a lot. Carla Joseph, number 2 on the ballot. A vote for me and you. Carla Joseph. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Joseph. Mr. Harch.
Good afternoon, all again. So to answer the question, I think we need to focus on agriculture for sure, and especially our ability that we have legislation that has no regulation on cannabis. There's a lot of byproducts that cannabis can provide, such as hempcrete, and we should have a hempcrete production plant in the Virgin Islands that will provide concrete or similar to concrete for building projects that could be imported and exported to the Greater Caribbean and to the United States of America. Moreover, we need to leverage our unique opportunity as the Virgin Islands that we are exempt from the Jones Act and bring in manufacturers to the Virgin Islands that could be made in the U.S. Virgin Islands that will have made in the United States stamp. That's a very important ability that the Virgin Islands has that we have not leveraged since the beginning, since we have had this exemption. Finally, we also need to fix WAPA so we can attract high-earning incomers who work virtually. We are working in a more global electronic world, and AI is going to take over if we provide the resources that people can work here with stable electricity that will allow for our economy to grow and expand. So again, agriculture, especially specifically in cannabis, leveraging our Jones Act, and also fixing WAPA.
Thank you, Mr. Hodge. Mr. Hamilton, the same question.
All right. So when we talk about the economy, we mentioned a lot of different stuff here this evening. But most importantly, when I talk about sports tourism, we cannot talk about being able to bring different sports here. We have to make sure that we have a dedicated facilities to even have these kind of sports here. Because just like how we build the field out, Idor Kenny was built wrong. So now we can't utilize it. So we have to make sure that we pour our investments into the right things. Just how we talk about cricket, we talk about soccer, but it need a dedicated facility for these things to happen. Because they ain't going to just come and play on any field here in the Virgin Islands. When we talk about agriculture, we talk about food security. We have to learn to feed ourselves here in the Virgin Islands. We will utilize St. Croix, but we don't utilize it at a mass production rate where we could start to feed the hospitals, feed the schools. When we do that, we have a lot of grocery stores here that now we have byproduct that they could buy into rather than have to ship. Because just like anybody else, you go into the store, you buy lettuce, by tomorrow the lettuce black. So we have to start to utilize what we have here at home. And then we speak about the one thing we have to always look towards is technology. AI, like it or not, is a future that we have to start to look forward to. We can't remain stagnant just how it was when it came to the marijuana and be last in the world to try to benefit from it. So we have to beat everybody else because we in the Caribbean, we is a U.S. territory and we have to utilize AI. We could do an AI hub here in the Virgin Islands where the rest of the world can utilize it to upload all their information and they pay for the storage. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. Next, Mr. Brown Connors.
Good evening again, Joel Brown Connors, number 10 on your ballot. So, I'm going to stick to what I've been focusing on for the last several years, which is farming. So we talk about farming a lot. Everybody talks about agriculture. Agriculture is a big industry. However, I've been farming for 20 years, as I stated earlier. The export of our goods are needed around the Caribbean. Other Caribbean islands do look for the stuff that we have here, and especially in the U.S. We don't have enough farmers, and the farmers that we do have are up there in age, so they're not producing as they should. As one of the young farmers, I produce and I export throughout the Caribbean. I send stuff from here to the States. However, that's just one portion. So the industry is there. St. Croix, I've always thought about living on St. Croix. I love St. Thomas. The money's over here, but St. Croix has the land and the space for it. And St. Croix should be pushed towards using a lot of that land for expanding the agricultural industry. The products that come out of our local produce is needed. It's needed when the tourists come here, they look for it. We don't have any of that. So when it comes to making that fund or youths making money, we have to go back to the basics and put agriculture back into the schools. School gardenings, encourage the young people to get involved in agriculture. Because right now, speaking about agriculture, the youths think is just going out and playing in the dirt. They don't see the benefits of it because no one teaches it. It's not being taught anywhere. They don't go up and say, well, hey, I want to do it. So when I go out and educate the young people them or bring them to the farm and show them what I do and how they can make money and the amount of money they can make from farming, it sparks the interest. But we need youth programs that constantly pushes agriculture in the youths, because that's the next generation. Without the youths, we can't do anything else in that field. We can't expect the older generation to continue farming and producing at a large capacity without the young people. We can't expect them to use the heavy machinery without the young people being certified or trained in it. So the money is there towards agriculture. My push is to push young people in the agricultural direction, getting them into the agricultural world, farming, and making money that way. Joel Brown Connors, number 10 on your ballot.
Thank you, Mr. Brown Connors. Ms. Lida, same question.
First, I'm going to go to what I'm passionate about, education. I believe in order for us to really do this, we have to make sure we collaborate with education, with the education department. One way we can do that as well is make sure we have programs through tourism, where we have the children, we have summer camp. When we do that, we also expand our culture. We bring the families down, we get our hotels filled up, make sure we have cultural things so we can show them, have dance, so when people come downtown, there is nothing that shows them where we are. If we go to the hotels, there is nothing. You ask for a tea, there is no bush tea. I think first we have to really teach our culture and make sure those children are the people who's telling our culture and what we are about by using that, having programs in the school. I remember in 2010, I had a daycare and I had a gardener, and I took those children to the food fair with things that we grew in the backyard, and people was just, surprised. And that's how we have to do it. We have to make sure we teach our children from young to showcase our territory. That way we don't have to force them to come back home. And also, small businesses, utilize them. Make sure they are seen. Things that they have, make sure we can pass them on to all tourists who comes to visit as well. And also, 3 weeks ago, I went to the Noble Summit. It was amazing to me that all those people who was there, we came to visit for that summit, had no idea the Virgin Islands was a U.S. territory. We're in 2026, so I think we should do more by showcasing our territory, by allowing schools to be part of it, do exchange program. Why our children have to go away, but we cannot have people come here? So education, that's where we should start.
Thank you for your response. Thank you, Ms. Leader. Senator Blyden.
Thank you for that question, and good evening again to all. I believe the question was about tourism and economic development. In respect to economic development, what we are going to do, I have always supported anything that will improve our situation when it comes to our economic development space. For instance, every lease that has come forward for the legislature for small businesses and or anything else that impacts our territory positively, I've always supported, and we continue to do that. One of the most impactful legislation that I've supported and was a sponsor of it is the Hotel Development Act, which is the reason why we were able to assist the Westin, the old Frenchman Reef, to rebuild. We were able to assist with the new Hilton that just was built. We have and will be assisting the Carambola Hotel, which are going to be rebuilding and refurbishing, and also we have another hotel coming on Water Island. That's a real huge development, and because of that act, the Hotel Development Act, we are able to do those things, which I think is very important. And I've always supported anything that's going to move our territory forward. Others spoke about agriculture, marine industry. Yes, the blue economy is huge, and we have not tapped into it like we should. And that will also assist with jobs and economic development. I must say also, though, that when it comes to the Virgin Islands, we have a data center on the island of St. Croix that we really need to utilize and see what we can do to get in that space, because there was an investment that was made on behalf of the territory years ago. And VINGN also had a lot to do with that. And I have been in communication with VINGN in terms of seeing what we can do to utilize and expand our capability when it comes to that. But again, we all know that small businesses is the engine that runs any economy. And again, I am a small business owner myself, and I understand the importance of small businesses here. Again, Marvin Blyden, number 3 in your ballot. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, Senator Blyden. Senator Bolke, welcome. The first segment we're dealing with is economic development, and the question is, and I read, tourism remains the primary source for the Virgin Islands economy. However, our dependence on this single industry concerns most residents. What specific policies, investments, or incentives would you support to diversify the economy beyond tourism and create sustainable year-round economic opportunities?
Good evening, everyone. Senator Lajang Helbokas Jr. To answer the question, my colleagues and I have passed a number of initiatives that speak directly to the question that you're asking. Specifically, our maritime sector is ripe for economic viability. We've passed a number of measures, and most recently we passed a piece of legislation concerning the Caribbean Basin Initiative. And the Caribbean Basin Initiative technically speaks to our rum cover over and other industries that we reap taxes from. And right now we're only collecting from agriculture and older industries. The Caribbean Basin Initiative was created back in 1985. It's due to expire in 2030. And with the help of my colleagues, we were able to pass a piece of legislation to request the diversification or the modernization of the Caribbean Basin Initiative to include more modern industries so that we can now reap more benefits from it. To answer the question further, there's so many different types of industries in the tourism sector. You have the economy that surrounds with cuisine, sports tourism, medical tourism. So by extension, we should just be diversifying our tourism market. Thank you. I'm not running in the primary, but you can look for me on the general election ballot.
Thank you, Senator. So question number 2 is going to address cost of living. Residents continue to struggle with the high cost of food, housing, electricity, healthcare, and other necessities. If elected or re-elected, what are the top 3 actions you would take to make the territory more affordable, and how would you measure whether those actions are successful? Senator Bolkis.
Thank you for the question. We know that, especially on the island where I reside, property tax is very, very high. I believe we need to take a holistic look at how property tax is estimated. I believe that we need to create what I would consider to be a property tax matrix, and it would go along the lines of something like this, where instead of when someone builds a big home next to your smaller home or shanty or whatever, then you now see a change in your property tax because this home is changing up the aesthetics of your neighborhood. In fact, I believe that we should charge based on the materials and the square footage and the amenities of a home. So what that means is that if you build in wood, then there's a matrix that deals with how a wooden home is built and what type of home based on the square footage, the amount of rooms. You would have a different matrix for cement pour, for stone masonry. So obviously, the more different your home is, you fall into a category. And that would help with the property tax, in my opinion. We would also need to work on providing support, especially every year. I know the Lieutenant Governor's office provides some sort of discount on property taxes. In addition to that, the Department of Agriculture, just by being a farmer, if you farm on your property, they come out and assess your property and find out how much of your property, let's say you have a 1-acre piece of property, your house is on a quarter of it, and you're farming 75% of the property, and you are a farmer and licensed with the Department of Agriculture, you can then receive a discount on your property tax. A lot of people do not know that. So that is something that is a great way for individuals to bring down their property tax as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. The same question goes to Senator Fonseca.
Yes, pleasant good evening again. The cost of living, I'm going to break it down into 2 main areas we're going to concentrate. And I'm going to start with the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority. As you know, we suffer from the damage to WAPA. It makes all of us, if I was to ask you to raise your hands of everyone in here that has replaced a refrigerator, appliance, or a stove, everybody would raise their hand. In addition to the damage in our pockets, WAPA also makes businesses leave the island. This is the number 3 cause of businesses leaving. When businesses leave the island, there's less competition. When there's less competition, there's price inflation. In the Virgin Islands, we also suffer from price inflation. As a matter of fact, I give you a good example. 2 weeks ago when WAPA went out, the generators in a hardware store, I'm not going to mention the name, the 5K generator was $799. I went out there and that same generator was $1,025. Price inflation affects us in the Virgin Islands. In addition, that question on why gasoline is so much cheaper on St. Croix as opposed to St. Thomas has to be addressed. And I'm going to tell you just where we're sitting right now in this area. If you notice, most of the gasoline stations always have the same prices within 1 or 2 cents. Now, I'm not saying that that's price collusion, but it's so interesting that the gasoline stations right around this area always have a same price. The price that we pay for gasoline is very expensive. I'm going to go to housing. I know my colleague here, Senator Blyden, is an expert. So I'll thank you, number 11, Ray Pupa Fonseca.
Thank you, Senator. The same question goes to Ms. Francis.
Sure. Thank you for the question. Good evening, everyone. My name is Chanel Fina Francis, number 7 on the ballot. Relative to the cost of living, I would say 3 major issues is groceries, WAPA, and wages. Now, I'm not a magician, so I don't want to speak to WAPA to promise you any dreams. I can't. What I'm responsible for doing, if elected, is asking those questions, reviewing the facts, and ensure it's in your best interest, which is the people. So I'm not going to sit here and fluff anything relative to WAPA. Relative to cost control, though, I can give you a case study. That's the second point I want to touch. A case study I can tell you with groceries. In comparison from Price Smart to Cost You Less, there's most often a $5 to $10 differential in the same item. Now, we need to put a handle on that because that should not be. We need to put a control on these costs so that everyone is treated fairly. And that, because our wages aren't increasing, that's another thing. Our wages aren't going up. So if groceries, things that we need to survive, we need to put a control mechanism on that. Relative to wages also, we need to revisit our budget to possibly match an increase to where we can afford those items that have been inflated upon. So those 3 things I just want to say: cost control, WAPA, and wages. Again, I'm not a magician. I cannot say abracadabra, WAPA is fixed. I cannot promise WAPA will be fixed. But what I can guarantee is I will ask those pertinent questions and ensure that it's in the best interest of the people. Thank you.
Thank you for that response, Ms. Francis. Senator Lewis.
Thank you. Avery Lewis, number 6 on the ballot. Currently, right now, I have a bill in place out of legal counsel, and it's before the Committee of Budget and Appropriation to exempt pharmacies from paying gross receipt and excise taxes and prescription drugs. For long enough, we've been making tough decisions whether we need prescription or food, prescriptions or rent. I plan to bring a little ease somewhere there to someone's livelihood. That day, once my colleagues and go along with me, co-sign with me, that will be a relief to the people of the Virgin Islands. I supported legislation this in my first term to increase the minimum wage for government employees from $27,000 to $35,000. We also increased the minimum wage in the private sector. It went from $10.50, now we're up to $12, and then next year it's going to go up to, I think, it's to $13, and then until we get to $15 an hour. That's within 3 years. Those are things that we have to do, put in place. Bring cash to people, bring immediate cash to people. I supported tax amnesties. Those brought relief. People don't have the readily cash like that. But if you have a bill cost $15,000 and they say we could take off the penalties and all of those things and you could bring us $5,000, $6,000, that's relief. Those are things we need to do. There's another program I am putting in place, that is currently in place. Thanks to this administration, Governor Bryan, my colleagues and I now, we're looking to find ways how we could continue funding the SLICE program, allowing people, first-time home buyers, a grant, not a loan, a grant for your first time going into a home, not a single-family home, where you could build, you could expand, put a next layer with some rental downstairs. Those are the things we need to do. But once we open the place and let the world know that we are open for business and stabilize our energy product, we'll be on the right path. Thank you very much. Avery Lewis, number 6.
Thank you, Senator Lewis. Mr. Bailey, same question.
Peter Bailey, candidate number 5. We all know as an entrepreneur, small businesses are the lifeline of our economy. This goes back to the office that I want to implement to maximize these federal dollars. These federal dollars need to be invested in these small businesses to bolster entrepreneurship. And quite frankly, our business owners have to understand, look, we can't sell a dream. Inflation is worldwide. The cost of living is going up everywhere. So a community effort needs to be understanding as a business owner, look, business owners locally tell me, Peter, look, the prices on my goods are high as hell because they import. We import everything. I get that. We have to create an advisory council to ensure our businesses are not price gouging. And once again, we go back to the maximizing of federal dollars. We need to create an office to ensure that every dollar that comes through this territory is spent. Let's look at housing. We like to build concrete homes there because of the hurricanes. We have to look at prefab housing. It's more cost efficient and most are durable during the hurricanes. Basically, from a sense of it's a collective effort. But once again, I go back to the office to maximize federal funding to give some support to our small businesses. If our small businesses die, we die. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Mr. Smith, same question, sir.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Certainly. Residents continue to struggle with the high cost of food, housing, electricity, healthcare, and other necessities. If elected, what are the top 3 actions you would take to make the territory more affordable, and how would you measure whether those actions are successful?
Thank you for the great question, in which the public do deserve good ideas and visions. The top 3 most affordable issues that will be tackled, like you just said, is WAPA. WAPA is 2 in 1, matter of fact, because we have the energy and we definitely need to bring forward a lot of power, diversity, and different energy sources to assist in our crisis. So definitely we got to look at electricity, because that's all the people cry about, electricity. I even feel it, and it hurts everything, the whole territory, everything, the economy go right down. So we got to strengthen it, because WAPA, we do need WAPA regardless of what anybody say. Because when you're running WAPA on your self-generators and things, we pay way, way more. So WAPA needs help and assistance. Also, the health department needs help and assistance also, and a lot of people has not at this point really look into encouraging our people, empowering our people to open up different non-profit agencies that could help alleviate some of the issues and problems that different agencies are facing. We have to learn to educate our people to help where we can help and assist. Water. We have our natural resources still on our island. Like I tell everybody, we have everything right here in the Virgin Islands. We just need eyes and see. Because like they say, who got eyes, let them see. And who got ears, let them hear. For water is life, and we can't do nothing without water. We need water for everything, even cooking, whatever you name it. You have to have water. We need to reconstruct our natural reservoirs also. So when we have those community gardens from agriculture and stuff like that, we could sustain our community and our neighborhood. So basically, I just give thanks for everything and thank you for your time again. Michael A. Smith, no debate. Vote number 8.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Senator Joseph.
Thank you so much. Carla Joseph, number 2 on the ballot. A vote for me and you. One of the things I know that is definitely required for us to look at our cost of living issues is the cost of energy and how much we pay. That's why I supported the solar farms being erected in both Bordeaux and in Bovoni, because I understand renewable energy. This isn't my first go-around with even tackling or talking about renewable energy. As a past president of the Environmental Association of St. Thomas and St. John, over 25 years ago, those were some of the things that we were talking about to reduce our reliance on fossil fuel that will hurt our environment and to go towards renewable energy, which include also wind. And so that, if we were to implement those 2 components and have the redundancy within the Water and Power Authority using the LPG, utilizing diesel at a minimum, and also utilizing the wind as well as the solar, trust me, our electrical bills will be lower and we will see the redundancy and consistency and affordability of energy. That's one area of cost of living that we can reduce. Then we have to go to the agriculture, because we have to look at how we are feeding our people. And if we are able to grow some of our food here and purchase our food here, then we are not importing as so much items into the Virgin Islands. That is one of the other critical information and issues that we have, that we are importing so much and we are placing them where? On the landfill. On the landfill. So again, another part would be, of course, the recycling component. Those are some critical factors that we have not done. We push that all the time, and we want to be able to get it done. And I am here to move those things, and that's why I'm here trying to get my work completed. Carla Joseph, number 2 on the ballot. A vote for me, and you, vote number 2.
Thank you, Senator Joseph. Mr. Hart.
Thank you. Can you repeat the question, please?
Absolutely. Residents continue to struggle with high cost of food, housing, electricity, healthcare, and other necessities. If elected, what are the top 3 actions you would take to make the territory more affordable, and how would you measure whether those actions are successful?
Thank you for the question, Riddell A. Haas Jr., number 12. First and foremost, I think enforcement is a huge issue in the Virgin Islands. Enforcement of the LCA, making sure that there's not price gouging, and the penalization of price gougers needs to happen in the Virgin Islands. The story that Senator Fonseca spoke about should not be a reality in the Virgin Islands, but it's a constant reality of the Virgin Islands, and they are not penalized within our law, and that causes a reoccurrence of these issues. Furthermore, we have to work on WAPA. We have to do something that actually gets back electrical systems in the Virgin Islands that is, renewable, sustainable, and actually allows for small businesses and bigger businesses to come to the Virgin Islands. We also need to make sure we attract another big box store to the Virgin Islands to replace Kmart, because that will help reduce the prices because of the additional competition. And finally, we need to get back to a circular economy in the Virgin Islands where our money stays in our economy versus going out to outside sources, such as paying for the middleman of transportation, so we could actually buy food here with agriculture and so forth and so on. So things of that nature are what I will plan to do if elected as senator. This is Riddell A. Hodge Jr., number 12.
Thank you. Mr. Hamilton.
All right, Kashif Hamilton, number 1 on your ballot. Everybody could always agree that WAPA is one of the costs That's why we have a high cost of living in the Virgin Islands. We will always agree that it's something that need to fix. I'm 40, and I meet WAPA being a problem. And we can't continue to say we're going to fix something, and yet we're not putting effort forward to getting it done. Microgrids is something that is needed when it comes to WAPA. Our hospitals need to be on microgrids. The schools need to be on microgrids. When we talk about accountability, Mr. Hart said the same thing we know. We are the citizens of the Virgin Islands, but we have people in place to do their jobs. So we start to have to hold people accountable to do your job to protect the citizens of the Virgin Islands. And then we need to revisit a lot of these policies when it comes to our elderly and our citizens being able to get some type of relief. Because we tend to say, well, you could sign up for this, but then it don't match your salary. We can't, the salary that we're living on, that is where it is. So they have to change the salary number for you to be able to be eligible. Because a lot of people, they say, well, it's easy for you to sign up for it, but when you go there, they're telling you you're making too much money. But by the time all the taxes come out of it, you can carry home nothing. So we have to go back to visit these policies that will make more people eligible to get some kind of substance and assistance in the Virgin Islands. Kashi Hamilton, number 1 on your ballot.
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. Mr. Brown Connors.
Good evening again. Joel Brown Connors, number 10 on your ballot. So I agree with a lot of what has been said, but I'm going to start from the bottom up on my paper, right? We know the cost of living in the Virgin Islands is going up. It's going up daily. Throughout the U.S., we have the same issue. However, how can we reduce it here and make it livable for the people of the Virgin Islands? Gas. One of our biggest complaints now is gas. So how do we fix that? Public transportation. If we enhance public transportation and make it easier and more accessible for the public to get around without using our own vehicles, that'll save us some money on gas. We use the bus system or the safaris. They're not reliable. If they were, that helps. So making that reliable would help reduce the cost for fuel. WAPA, energy at home. Solar, so solar energy, everybody talk about the sun. The sun is out every day, and for the last couple of months, it has been pure sun, no rain. Solar would help, and the solar programs, there are solar programs out there through the government, but encouraging the solar programs for homeowners would help reduce the cost of WAPA. You have solar energy. You pay that bill until you own the system, and then it's yours. Just reduce the cost there. What I focus on the most is farming. So I farm, like I said, I've been farming for 20 years. For the last about 15 years, I've been producing my own meat. So if you ever see me in the grocery store purchasing meat, it's to buy steak. However, everything else I produce at home, rabbit meat, lamb, we have goat, sheep, those things we produce on our own, chicken, eggs. I produce these things at home, and so I have those. I sell to the public. However, the cost to maintain those animals, to sell it back, that's where the cost come in on you. However, if we push community and backyard farming, then it goes back to that village mentality that we should have, where if we grow things as a village, the neighborhood could eat. It reduce costs for everybody. You know, it would reduce the imports of goods, and it'll help everyone, you know, what you need. Number 10 on your ballot, Joel Brown Connors.
Thank you. Ms. Leader.
Good evening again, everyone. I think before we can talk about that, we have to talk about accountability. Because nothing can happen if we don't hold the people who's going to do the job accountable. And with that said, we need to make sure those people are trained for what they are doing. We can pass laws all day long, but if we don't hold those people accountable for their jobs, making sure we go to those agencies, we follow through, we do audits, and that's how we're going to be able to do that. Also, WAPA. WAPA is like a womb, you know. We cannot keep on putting Band-Aid on WAPA and expect it to heal. We got to make sure we just have a surgery, getting it done. And that's really the only way. Why are we on an island and we're not using anything we have? The ocean, the sun. Have a program where we can have solar at those seniors' homes so they can sell back. And that will be a take back for them, a little investment, a little intake for them to have every month on top of that little social security they are having. Also create programs in our schools. And, when we do that, we also teach them a culture. Have programs where they can learn how to plant stuff. They're going to learn about our islands. They're not going to go and stay away. They're coming back. I have my 12-year-old, and from the time she was 7, she's the one who taught us in the house how to plant stuff. And I was amazed. I never had to purchase any peppers, fruits, you name it, we have in our yard. And that's how we have to do that. Also have programs in the seniors' home. It's not just programs, where they just plant stuff that they can share amongst them. It's also helping them with the health care that we are having issues. Dementia. If you don't use your brain, you lose it. So make sure we have programs. And I think accountability, it's where we should start.
Thank you for your response, Ms. Leader. Senator Blyden, same question, please.
Thank you again for that question. And I must start off by saying my colleagues and I in the 36th legislature have been on the job, and we've been leading from the front. Let me tell you why. The issue that she spoke to, we passed legislation. I was the primary sponsor of all of these legislation. The minimum wage bill, Act number 90669. The government employees raised from 27 to 35. The tax amnesty program and the solar farms, sponsored all of them. We understand the vexing issues, and we responded as Democrats. I would also like to talk to a piece of legislation that I have, a BR 26-1078, which actually funds the Department of Licensing and Consumer Affairs to do a study in order to establish price controls where appropriate. Price control is legal. I've been told for many years it's not legal. I did my research, so I'm having conversation with them to bring legislation to address that, because inflation in the Virgin Islands is out of control right now. In addition to that, I've been an advocate when it comes to gas prices and food in the territory. I've written several press releases to Licensing and Consumer Affairs, and I have also met with some of the gas station owners in respect to holding on the price and not changing the price because of the war in Iraq. And they have applied in somewhat ways. Not all of them, but some of them have. So I've been an advocate on behalf of my people. In addition to that, based on food, high cost of living in territory, even though some things we cannot control, I've gone above and beyond, as I stated in my opening speech, in respect to advocating and doing food distributions, handing out generators, gas tank, extension cards, flashlight, medical supplies. I've been doing it since the hurricane. Every 3 months I do a distribution, and I will continue to do that because I understand the hardship. I feel the pain. I meet with these people on a regular basis, especially the elderly and disabled people, folks in our territory. And I must say my colleagues and I have been on a job. Again, Marvin Blyden, number 3 in a primary election. Thank you.
Thank you. The next topic is going to be energy and utilities, and there has been a slight change in the timing for the respondents. We had 2 minutes for questions 1 and 2. We're now moving to 1 minute for each question. Fair enough? Yes? All right. Question number 3, energy and utilities. We'll start with Ms. Francis. In your view, could a territory's ongoing power generation challenges be effectively addressed at the local level if the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority receive adequate funding and resources? If yes, please identify potential funding sources and provide details. If no, explain how you would address WAPA's operations and challenges.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Once again, Chanel Fina Francis, candidate number 7 on the ballot for the primary election. Relative to WAPA, I'm not privy to information where sitting senators are. So I cannot speak to the funding challenges, the misappropriations, the mismanagement. I cannot speak to any of those line items relative to WAPA, so I can't give an answer to that. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam. Senator Lewis, same question.
Good evening. Avery Lewis, number 6 on the ballot. One of the things I'll say is that WAPA don't have a money problem. WAPA have billions of dollars currently. And if you listen in the news, WAPA have the super PMO for the prudent replacement of the plants in St. Thomas and St. Croix. They have temporary generation. First, there's going to be a temporary plan, and then they're going to replace the old plan. We just appropriate 2.1, a bill passed by Senator Bulkes, and I supported $2.1 million to repair the transmission line, repair and replace the transmission lines for the island of St. John. There's a new generator on the way for St. John, so St. John would have its own power. Earlier this year, I had a bill in committee. It was held in committee because my colleagues felt that the funding source, which was a federal grant, was not sufficient. But I'll tell you this. I just got word yesterday from WAPA, working behind the scenes with WAPA, that through my hard work and my letter writing, EPA, through a grant, through the DPNR, a drinking water grant, has appropriated to expand portable water in the area of Smith Bay. So now we're going to have portable water in Smith Bay and fire hydrants. So that cure a public safety issue and a drinking water issue. Thank you. Avery Lewis, number 6 on the ballot.
Thank you. Mr. Bailey, same question?
Mr. Bailey, candidate number 5. I'll just be blunt. It's unacceptable, WAPA. I don't think we have an understanding of the issue, and I think it's not working. I think our lawmakers have to stop padding a broken system. So I think we need to bring in professionals who understand engineering to get this thing fixed. But I do like the concept of ownership of our energy supply. So what I propose is an advisory council of Virgin Islanders to oversee these experts to come in and get a hold of this issue. We cannot continuously have this WAPA issue. And I no longer can trust the current administration and our leaders to fix it. So we have to bring in a professional. If I'm flying a plane, I'm not going to expect a public servant to fly the plane. I'm going to bring in professionals that understand and know what they're doing. Now, having said that, though, because of my campaign is owning our story, I still believe we need to lead and manage these professionals. But professionals have to come in and address this issue, but with the respect of our sovereignty as Virgin Islanders.
Thank you. Mr. Smith.
Repeat the question, please.
Sure. In your view, could the territory's ongoing power generation challenges be effectively addressed at the local level if the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority received adequate funding and resources? If yes, please identify potential funding sources and provide details. If no, explain how you would address WAPA's operations and challenges.
Yes, thank you again for the wonderful question to educate the masses of our public. And yes, I would say no. I would say no because I have some improvements that no one, because everybody's saying we don't know the numbers for this, we don't know the numbers for that. Who has really did a full internal audit of WAPA and know what WAPA have from the beginning? If we don't know what we have, how can we proceed to know what we need to implement and go forward with? It's the small steps that leads up to the big steps that we need to be taking, which is education, in educating the personnel of WAPA also. And all these different private institutions are come in and helps because right now, Hagland or something like that is who they be doing most of the line work. When I see them, you know, so we need to not only bring in the professionals to help us get to our point, but we also make sure these professionals are training our people to maintain it and develop it better when they leave. Michael A. Smith, no debate. Vote number 8, infinite.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Senator Joseph, your response, please.
And thank you so much for that question. That's a very important question because just like a human body, we need energy to move. We need energy, consistent, affordable, and reliable energy in the Virgin Islands to move our islands forward. WAPA is that source, and that is because, for me, it's looking at what we have done as a legislature, my colleagues and I. We called for a turnaround company. That's why we have the earnest and young assessment that looks at how we can strategically and intentionally bring real-life solutions to our dilemma with WAPA. And they are working on moving that. We have supplied them with hundreds of millions of dollars in funding. And they have been reducing, and I sit on the Public Services Commission. You can see that they have been able to pay down on some of their outstanding costs. So Carla Joseph, number 2 on the ballot, a vote for me and you. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Mr. Hodge.
Thank you. To answer the first part of the question, I think no, on the local level. It needs to be a collaborative effort on the federal and local level to make sure that WAPA is actually a sufficient company. It's a failing company, and it's been failing for years. And I think we're at the point that WAPA needs to be abolished because it was started by legislation, and we need to move to a renewable energy and water conservation company for the Virgin Islands for the needs of the future. Riddell A. Hodge Jr., number 12.
Thank you, Mr. Hodge. Mr. Hamilton.
All right, Kashif Hamilton, number 1 on your ballot. When it comes to WAPA, we have to really look at the things that we to see, because we have family members that are the boots on the ground, that are the exports. But we have to pay more attention to the people them that are managing WAPA to the helm. That's what we need to put our focus on. These people, they need benchmarks and evaluations. You cannot continue to go sit down in a high-level position and not do your job. You have to go home. We can't continue to say that it's okay for you to go up there, come in front of the legislature, tell us stories, go back, and then the current is back off. But they have people on the floor who walking inside WAPA that know what they're doing. But the management people on the top is what keeping them down. This is when you just sit down and you don't have conversations with stakeholders, the boots on the ground that have been there for years, that will tell you the true story, not the make-up story that are coming in front of the legislature. Thank you.
Thank you for your response, Mr. Hamilton. Mr. Brown Connors, your response.
Good evening again, Joel Brown Connors, number 10 on your ballot. So, WAPA has been a big talk for years. For all my life, I've been hearing about WAPA and its deficiencies. However, I can't, like you have heard before, I can't sit down and say what the exact issue with WAPA is. However, I know power has been on, so it has to be a management issue somewhere along the line, whether it's funding. There's a lot of funding going into WAPA. We've seen that, we've heard it through legislature, and we heard it again from Senator Joseph. However, WAPA is an anonymous agency that should be generating enough revenue to cover the costs that it takes to run the plant. If they choose why they're not doing that, that's something that we have to dig into a lot more. If we're elected, that's something we look into. However, in the meantime, I think the management issue in itself, we should bring in someone from the outside to manage the plant. We don't want to get rid of it. We don't want to sell it, but someone that knows how to effectively manage, especially those generators, the plant would be great, where it would keep the power on. Our goal is just to keep the power on. For those who don't have solar or any other source of energy, we want to keep the power on. So my time has been called. Joel Brown Connors, number 10 on your ballot.
Thank you, sir. Before I have Ms. Leader answer, just a bit of housekeeping for us here on the panel. Please, no use of cell phones during the forum. Thank you so much. Ms. Leader, your response, please.
I'm going back to accountability. We have 15 senators, so WAPA cannot be fixed with just one senator. It takes all of us. And I think before we sit and pass in all type of bills, we need to learn and we need to gather all knowledge first on whatever issues we're gonna pass the bills on, especially WAPA. We need to have some type of training, having people come down, engineers, sit down, learn what the issues are before we can tackle and talk about it. And one of the things, it's just amazing to me who makes the board for WAPA. I'm not gonna say much about that, but it's just something strange to me. I think the community should be part of that as well, because if it takes, that's what it takes all the time and it's never been fixed, something is wrong. So management, as you heard before, it's not a money issue. It's a management issue. And let's just be honest. Stop hiring people because you know them. Hire people because they can do the job.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Leader, for your response. Senator Blyden, your response, please.
Thank you so much for that question. I must say, when it comes to WAPA, WAPA does not have a money problem. You know, we have given them over $100 million, and we continue to fund them. They have a management problem, and we have always said that. When it comes to WAPA, though, I mean, that's the white elephant in the room, because no matter what we talk about tonight, if we don't get WAPA fixed, we're going to continue to be struggling here in the territory. It drives away many businesses. It makes many, at least in many businesses, closing the doors, and on and on and on. So we must deal with WAPA. But in that respect, though, I must say that in respect to legislation, we have actually approved an oversight management committee to deal with WAPA. And also, WAPA have a board. No one talks about a board. They have a board. The board is who runs the authority. So they need to bear some of the blame also. But again, their structure, in my opinion, needs to change, because they have an issue and they can't really put their finger on it. I do not know what's going on there. But in terms of legislation, I also was the primary responsible with Senator Bolquez and my colleagues to do the transmission line for St. John, because that's unacceptable. Again, Marvin, line number 3 about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Blyden. Senator Bolquez, your response. Same question, please.
Thank you, Senator at-large Angel Bolquez Jr. We've given a lot of funding to WAPA, and we also have given WAPA a portion of the fuel taxes, but yet and still the problems persist. And the crux of the issue is that they actually stem from the fuel costs, from importing the fuel. They stem from the cost to generate energy. We have outdated generators that burn at a rate that is just not acceptable in this day and age for the amount of population that we have here in the Virgin Islands. And also bad decisions and bad mismanagement of funds and leadership in the past. I think the last time WAPA was successful, I think there was Bruno Vega is what I heard. I just come. So that's what I learned. I heard that he did a great job when he ran WAPA. But that's the last time that I'm aware of. But the funding source should not actually be the answer to this question. The answer to this is offsetting the grid with green energy and moving away from fossil fuel dependence, and then the cost will go down. Simply put, you know, in logic it's simple, but in application it is difficult. So, and it also takes time. And I think my time has run out. Angel Bolquez Jr., thank you for the time.
Thank you, Senator. And Senator Fonseca, same question, sir.
Yes, pleasant good evening. Ray Fonseca, number 11 on the ballot. Well, you know, I'm the senator that is fighting with the administration over WAPA. I'm the one that put out the press release. I'm pushing for WAPA to be a state of emergency. I'm going to tell you, I have to talk real quick because WAPA is so much. WAPA has made bad decisions. The feeder 13 transmission line that comes on the waterfront, that is always broken. We're going out. The Agreco generators, they're always failing. They experimented with this dual system where you're going to run on diesel, you're going to run on propane. It doesn't work. St. Croix has the Agreco generators. They're working. The AMI, the automated metering system where they read in your meters at home, that's a total failure. They overbill you. You know, in addition to that, right, WAPA, in my opinion, they've been a criminal organization. That's how WAPA has been operating. Okay, we've given them, okay, well, thank you very much. Ray Fonseca, number 11.
Thank you for your response. The next question is going to come from the subtopic of education. We'll begin with Senator Lewis. Senator Lewis. The Virgin Islands continues to face challenges in recruiting and retaining qualified teachers. What steps would you take to support educators, improve working conditions, and ensure that schools have the resources needed to attract and retain qualified teachers?
Thank you, Avery Lewis, number 6 on the ballot. One of the things I'll tell you, I think the Virgin Islands have the best teachers in the world. I used to be a classroom teacher, and I notice I work along with them. Right now, we are modernizing a lot of the schools. We are modernizing BCB. We modernize, some of them are replacement, Eudora Ken. You can look at ODR website. All the schools are being rebuilt. But what we need to do is work along with ODR to make sure that when these infrastructures are built, we have the resources inside, and the teachers are trained with the resources so they could deliver a quality education. But one of the things that I am pushing is a technical college. And I feel that when these children come out of school, not all our children is going to go to a traditional 4-year college. And I'm pushing my technical college bill because I want when our children come out of school, they're their own entrepreneurs, they're counting their own dollars, they're being able to service our community. We know gone are the days to the Department of Labor was before us and the Division of Personnel. And both of them are working together to collaborate, to tell us the different skill sets we need in this community. And that's the kind of collaboration we need with Department of Education, Department of Labor, and Division of Personnel, so we could produce a working workforce. And number 6 on the ballot, Avery Lewis.
Thank you, Senator. Mr. Bailey.
Yes, so we all know, Peter Bailey, number 5 on our ballot. We all know an educated society is an empowered one. That's why I'm very focused on vocational programs for our youth. We keep saying there's no skilled people in our territory. Let's train them. That's why I brought my nightcap show home, and I implemented a vocational program in the school system already. That's why I created a film academy in the school system already. Because basically when education is a collective effort, and our students and our kids basically buy into education, our teachers don't go into a hostile work environment. So as the Senator said, vocational programs are very, very important. And that's why it's a foundation of my campaign. So this is something I'm already implemented because I believe in the work. So vocational training for our kids, which is true, not everyone is academically oriented. So we have to create vocational programs and bolster that. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Joseph? Did I skip someone?
All the time.
Mr. Smith, my apologies, sir. You bent over. Sorry. My apologies. Mr. Smith.
I'm going to stand up so I could recognize me. Question.
Would you like me to repeat the
Because
question?
I don't want to be non-recognized at all. This is no debate. Vote number 8.
The Virgin Islands continue to face challenges in recruiting and retaining qualified teachers. What steps would you take to support educators, improve working conditions, and ensure that schools have the resources needed to attract and retain qualified teachers?
Yes, thank you for that question. I love the question. And one of the main reasons I love the question, because I am an educator. Graduated my 2nd class from Raphael O. Wheatley Skills Center as the HVAC technician, in which the Virgin Islands, every home and business shall have an AC. Matter of fact, right, with this technical skills, right, I just try and go more and more in encouraging more technical skills and trades for different diverse careers. In my life, I'm a business owner also. I graduated with my GED from when I was 16. I graduated from MTI with an associate's degree when I was 18, when my class of CHS 99 was graduating. So when they graduate with a high school, I don't get my technical, and Delha wanted to hire me. But still, we need people, elderly, to guide our youths to the truth and for a better economy. Vote number 8, Michael A. Smith. There's no debate.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. And now, Senator Joseph, same question.
Thank you so much for that question. That's a very important question. For me, I think when you look at our teachers, they're a vital component of our society. They're a vital component to where we are. That's why I really think that what we should do is look at incentivizing items similar to what we do for senior citizens, giving them discounts to go to St. John if they are going on the trips over there, giving them discounts when they're going to the grocery store, similar to that we do with our seniors. Another facet that we can take to assure, and that would attract more teachers. And another facet thing that we can do also is to promote giving them opportunities to purchase land that the government own at a certain price rather than they have to go and fight and get their own land. So that is some of the things that we are working on, and my colleagues I know are working on along with me to do so we can incentivize. Carla Joseph, number 2 on the ballot, a vote for me and you. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Mr. Harch, same question, sir.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Absolutely. The Virgin Islands continue to face challenges in recruiting and retaining qualified teachers. What steps would you take to support educators, improve working conditions, and ensure that schools have the resources needed to attract and retain qualified teachers?
Thank you for the question. Education is very important to the Virgin Islands, and in order for us to actually have a sufficient modern educational system, we have to incorporate AI in our educational programs. So we can get specific learning for the different needs of every single individual who's in the school systems. We can no longer teach in this classroom of everybody's a monkey, when we understand that everybody has different needs, and AI can leverage those tools to give everybody their specific needs. Specifically, education right now is very taxing on the individuals who are in the classrooms. And we need to get back to community education and making sure that it's a holistic process from the beginning of the child's birth to their death as an adult, as an elderly person. So making sure that we are focusing on the community and making sure that we have the resources in place to make sure that education is not just something you get in the classroom, but as you move through the community of the Virgin Islands. This is Rudell A. Hodge Jr., number 12.
Thank you for your response, sir. Mr. Hamilton.
All right, Kashif Hamilton, number 1 on your ballot. Just as the senator spoke, and we have to incentivize our teachers. Because without our teachers, where we will have our students today? These are the people that we have to look at, that when we come to quality of life, we can't leave them out of the equation. And we talk about trying to build and keep them here, but we have to raise the salaries. Everybody that live here, we have friends in the States, they don't go on the internet. Everybody seeing what salaries are in different places. And then you come here and you work hard, and then you don't even have the tools to do your job. So we have to pay more attention to our teachers that carrying our children for majority of the day from 8 to 5 or 8 to 3, Monday to Friday. And that's what we need to do in the Virgin Islands.
Thank you for your response, Mr. Hamilton. Your response, Mr. Brown-Connors.
Good evening, Joel Brown-Connors. We heard it over and over again, and I'm going to say it over and over again. The wages, our wages, the wages that we pay the teachers and the first responders, by the way, don't match the conditions that they have to work under. For them to come and work in the deplorable conditions that they complain about on social media and in the public daily does not match the wages that we pay them. So the wages is one. One other thing that we talked about, or that I have discussed, again and again, has been for first responders and teachers, is the home ownership. If we're not comfortable at home, we can't be comfortable when coming to work to deal with the public, how do we manage? It is a lot easier to go off island and be a first responder or a teacher because the conditions are a lot better. So fixing those living conditions at home, the home ownership program, which is in a different community that we're building, allowing first responders and teachers first preference, in some of those neighborhoods, that would help along with raising the salaries. So there are opportunities out there. Wages is one, but we have to secure the funding. So that is on top of my time has been called. Joel Brown-Connors, number 10 on your ballot.
Thank you, Mr. Brown-Connors. Ms. Leader, same question.
First, I want to start from home, because back in the days, teachers never really cared about the money. We need to make sure those teachers are being respected. Teach our children from home how to respect the teachers, appreciate them, honor them. Teachers should be treated just like veterans. Every single incentive they get, teachers should get, because without them, we wouldn't be nothing. Also, start by having programs where we can train our teachers, not just closing school because it's convenient for you, just to have a day for teachers, but what are they really learning? Send them away. Let them learn from all over the place. Make teaching a global thing as well, where they can not just have, a day off, but a mental day off where they can also learn from other teachers all over the place. Have it digital, so our children also can benefit from that. And, I think starting with having our teachers respected, loved, that's how we should start it, also giving them that raise as well.
Thank you for your response, Ms. Leader. Senator Blyden, your response, please.
Thank you so much for that question. And we know that education is the most equalizer in terms of opportunities for individuals. And I believe one of the things we can do to incentivize the teachers is have a safe and inviting environment, because many times their work environment is not conducive to learning for the teachers and all students. That's the first place we need to start. Also, in respect to the teachers, we need to actually assist in terms of training for them, making sure we get them certified and don't have to pay for the certification, etc. We need to work with our teachers to make sure that they can focus on teaching and be where they need to be at in terms of their job. Also, when it comes to education, I must say that vocational and technical training is also important. Many students are not cut out to go to college, and that is why even before I got in the Senate, myself and my colleague worked at the Housing Authority with a youth build program and educated and trained many, many young people to basically repair and do the work in those communities. Again, Senator Blyden, number 3 on the ballot. Thank you so much for the question.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Bolkus, your response, please.
Thank you. I was a teacher for about almost 10 years at Gift Hill School and St. John, so I'm very passionate for teachers as well. I know many teachers who actually have second jobs. And like many of the panelists here today, I agree that teachers need increase in pay. In addition to that, we need to create exemptions for teachers, whether it's exemptions for specific taxes, not entirely every single tax, but a decrease in a certain tax that might be beneficial to the individual. We also need to look at the funding that we provide to the Department of Education and assure and make sure that they actually go into those learning spaces. A lot of the funding goes in, obviously, to personnel, but we need to make sure that they go into those learning spaces, which are the classrooms, to have adequate materials for operations and making sure that they have everything that they need. And I know that that's part of why the Empress funds exist as well. And when we talk about incentivizing our teachers, we want to look at just like the veterans have land lots for sale, in addition to government services, discounts, and even working with the private sector to provide discounts with them. Thank you so much, Senator Angel Bolkes Jr.
Thank you, sir. Senator Fonseca, your response, please.
Yes, Ray Fonseca, number 11. They say it takes a village to raise a child. And the teachers have to be respected. The teachers have to get students that are going to respect the teachers. We have to respect the school monitors. We have to give them better salaries and a better working environment. Right here in Charlotte Amalia, you see the sign, over $300 million is going to be spent on a new school. So we are providing better environment. However, the parents have to communicate more with the teachers. They have to be the respect that the teacher is going to be motivated to teach and the student is going to be motivated to learn. It takes a whole village to raise a child. Thank you, Ray Fonseca, number 11 on the ballot.
Thank you. Senator Miss Francis, your response, please.
I like that. Thank you. Candidate number 7, thank you for the question. So based on everybody's responses, I'm just going to say what I feel is best. In order to keep teachers here, we have to provide them with housing opportunities, not just a lot to prepare to build a foundation upon. We have to present them with something so we're not outside recruiting teachers from other places. Right now, we have teachers from Cameroon, from Asian countries, because we're failing to provide the resources they need here to keep our teachers here, our local teachers here. They have no place to live. That's the problem. We need to develop something for them and offer subsidized discounts so that way they can afford it. Their income can match where they live. If we don't do that, we won't keep teachers. They'll continue to move to the mainland. We have to nurture what we have, and that's create a safe environment with their living spaces by developing property and sell it to them at a discounted rate and use federal subsidies to offset the costs. Thank you, Chanel Fina Francis, candidate number 7 on the ballot.
Thank you so much for that response. The next section that we'll cover is health care. Many St. John residents continue to face barriers to timely health care, particularly during medical emergencies and when specialized treatment is needed. What legislative priorities would you champion to expand healthcare services to St. John, reduce gaps in care, and improve health outcomes? Mr. Bailey.
Peter Bailey, candidate number 5. This is a very personal one for me as I return to the territory because my mother's failing health and stroke. So on a personal note, yes, our hospitals need help. She had to be airlifted to Miami for treatment because we were inadequate. So once again, maximizing the federal dollars. But basically building strategic partnerships with University of Miami's Medical Center, getting their trained doctors and getting our people in line with having them come down, share the resources, and forming a bridge. St. John just needs a hospital, plain and simple. That's a travesty to St. John that St. Johnians have to get on a ferry for health care. That's just not acceptable in this day and age. So we need to build better bridges, build a bridge to larger health care networks to empower and build up our infrastructure.
Thank you. Thank you for your response. Mr. Smith.
Thank you. Repeat the question, please.
Sure. Many St. John residents continue to face barriers to timely health care, particularly during medical emergencies and when specialized treatment is needed. What legislative priorities would you champion to expand healthcare services to St. John, reduce gaps in care, and improve health outcomes?
Yes, thank you for that great question. Like everything else that we face in the whole territory, all these gaps can definitely be closed by private partnerships. We all know this. We don't have the means, we don't have the learning, we don't have no education to even implement most of the stuff that is required as professional people. We have to be serious about our people, period, and educate them. For now, the legislation that you could pass is improve the present or amend the present legislation because of the population over there. They can't build a hospital. That's the real reason. But we need to get a hospital over there. The people are dire need for that. And we are losing people because people are not being recognized as St. Johnians. And that's a big problem. We will have to either create a legislation when the St. Johnians born in St. Thomas, they could still be St. Johnians. Something got to give. Because other people are having their handmaids there, making their children, and they are St. Johnians. Thank you for your time. No debate. Vote number 8. Michael A. Smith for Sen 8.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Senator Joseph, your response, please.
Thank you so much. I have been to St. John a number of times, and I know one of the most critical things that we are facing over there is the Myra Keating Smith Hospital is not up, and that has been there from so long from the hurricanes. But I believe if we rebuild that as soon as possible, and I know that's under ODR to be rebuilt, that is one aspect. We also need to have a ambulance service, a water ambulance service to provide that quick service for those persons who are having some issue that needs some medical care. And so that they can be quickly moved to St. Thomas to receive additional care, the extensive care. They do the triage in St. John stabilized the individual, and then they moved them quickly with a medical ambulance. Those are some of the things that we can do to really support our brothers and sisters in St. John. Carla Joseph, number 2 on the ballot, a vote for me and you. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Joseph. Mr. Hodge?
Thank you for the question. I think I will approach this question from a different angle than the other panelists. I think supporting the UVI medical school is actually the solution to getting St. John the care it needs. With having doctors develop in the territory who will be able to be stationed in St. John will be very useful and helpful as we expand healthcare in the territory. Right now, we are facing a situation where a lot of our healthcare professionals and doctors are aging out of the Virgin Islands, and we're not replacing them. This medical school can create a pipeline that allows for a scaled healthcare center for St. John, so we could actually have St. Johnians born in St. John. Thank you. Riddell A. Hodge Jr., number 12 on your ballot.
Thank you, Mr. Hodge. Mr. Hamilton, your response, please.
All right, Kashif Hamilton, number 1 on your ballot. Especially when it comes to St. John is some place I frequent. And we realize that after a certain time, you find that it's like St. John shut down. St. John needs staffing. We need people around the clock, and after a certain time, people going home. At the same time, we can't just wait for a certain time of the year for us to look at St. John as some place that we need to be a part of. St. John need more outreach. It need more stuff for the community, especially when it comes to health. Because if you ever been to St. John, not coming off the boat right there in Cruise Bay, that is not where St. John ends. If you ever take a drive in St. John, you'll be like, wow. So we need to get to the people in St. John, especially the elderly. We heard the elderly crying when WAPA went and nobody was there to visit them home, nobody was there to help them. This is a gap that we need to break in St. John when it comes to healthcare, to trying to help our neighbors, our friends, and our families who live in St. John. Thank you. Kashif Hamilton, 1 on the ballot.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Brown Connors, your response, please.
Good night, Joel Brown Connors. I'm going to try to get this all out in my minute. However, as a first responder for the last 15 years here in the Virgin Islands, working for the Department of Health and the Virgin Islands Police Department, I'm not sure where the barrier has been broken, but as far as I know, there is an ambulance service in St. John, Colby and Cruise Bay, 24/7. There is an ambulance board. There's a medical clinic over there that is staffed 24/7. So, just to clear the record, when it comes to medical emergencies, if it's a dire emergency, when EMS responds, they get them to the ambulance board and they transport them straight to St. Thomas. They bypass the clinic and bring them down to St. Thomas. If it's not a dire emergency, they do go to the clinic first, and if the doctor up there decides to transfer them down, then they come down to St. Thomas. But there is staff up there, so we don't want nobody to believe that there is not staff. What we do is we don't appreciate the staff that we do have. The staff is underpaid. The EMTs and the firefighters are underpaid and overworked. St. Thomas, St. John, and St. Croix. There's an ambulance out in Colby and ambulance in Cruise Bay. There's medical staff responding, covering that entire island. So the staff is there. They just need to be paid. Okay? Joel Brown Connors, number 10 on your ballot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Mrs. Leader, your response, please.
This one is very personal to me because my mom was here with me and she had heart failure. And unfortunately, because we had to go to the States, she passed away. Somehow, it's just amazing to me how we keep forgetting and feels like St. John is not part of the VI. I just don't understand that. Is it because it's only the place for tourists? Because that's the place most tourists, when they come here, they go to visit. But what about our own people? Why we don't understand them? Why we don't give them what they need? In 2026, they shouldn't have to travel here to get, medical. Right now, I have someone who's like a mother to me. She comes to St. Thomas twice a week for dialysis. And she have to pay out of pocket if she missed that other boat. So we need to find a way to get to them, and they don't have to come here. Treat them like human beings. And also, have mobile clinics. Not for everything they have to come here. We have AI. We should utilize that and really make St. John like the island it should be, part of the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Thank you for your response. Mrs. Leader, Senator Blyden, your response, please.
Thank you so much for that question. I do agree with everything most of the folks stated, especially Mr. Connors. He is correct. I would just add that in terms of the staff, we do need more staff, and we can always use more staff, and I believe we can coordinate with and work with St. Thomas in terms of doctors that we can basically look at what services is most needed and see how we can coordinate that together on the island of St. John to help beef up the staff there. I must say also we need to work with, I don't know what type of relationship they have with the St. John Rescue, but they also have some skill set to assist in that area also. So all of the above can work together to see how we can actually work with the folks on St. John because they deserve the same care like both other islands, St. Thomas and St. Croix. Thank you so much for the question.
Thank you for your response. Senator Bulk, is your response, please.
Could you repeat the question?
Absolutely. Many St. John residents continue to face barriers to timely health care, particularly during medical emergencies and when specialized treatment is needed. What legislative priorities would you champion to expand healthcare services to St. John, reduce gaps in care, and improve health outcomes?
I would legislate that, because right now we're under the hospitals and we're a clinic. And that's part of the problem because we have to share all of our supplies. I'm not saying we can't share, but it also puts people at a disadvantage, waiting for things for days and weeks at a time just to get a simple blood check. We have individuals going from dialysis over to St. Thomas regularly. People are being born in St. Thomas because there's no birthing center on St. John. So I would legislate to transform the clinic into a small hospital, whereas then you would be able to have all of the services that a hospital should have. We have a population over there of almost 5,000 people. We should also have a hospital on the island. I know aesthetically, from the sense of the national park owning most of the island and we only have a small footprint to work with, but we can be innovative. We can find a way to try to bring all of those services on the island so we can access all of the resources and services and also one last issue before my time expires. When someone dies on St. John, if it's after 11 p.m., the coroner, if he or she is not available, that person has to stay there. Okay? They have to stay there. So that's a problem. In this day and age, this should not be happening. But that's the truth of it. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, sir. Senator Fonseca.
Yes, good evening. So I do agree with what my colleagues and some of the aspirants are saying. On St. John with the Myra Keaton Clinic, we do need to put a dialysis chair. As a matter of fact, Senator Bolkis and I had that conversation with the heads of the hospital and the Commissioner of Health. They're trying to justify the numbers, but it needs a dialysis chair because if you have dialysis, you have to come down here. It's a 4-hour treatment. Your body's weak. You go back up there, your body's even weaker, and then you do it all over again in 3 days. So St. John must have a dialysis chair. In addition, we should have an emergency room physician that can stabilize the patients 24 hours and an advanced nurse practitioner. In addition to that, the Morris DeCastro Clinic, we need to reopen the maternal child health care division. The health department is not staffing that, and also the mental health care. They used to be providing weekly mental health care. Ray Fonseca, number 11 on the ballot.
Thank you, Senator. Ms. Francis, your response, please.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Many St. John residents continue to face barriers to timely health care, particularly during medical emergencies and when specialized treatment is needed. What legislative priorities would you champion to expand healthcare services to St. John, reduce gaps in care, and improve health outcomes?
Thank you. Chanel Fina Francis, candidate number 7 on the ballot. As many mentioned, a true live birth in St. John hasn't occurred. Besides the fact if you're using a doula, MDs are aging out, all sorts of things. What I suggest is UVI to position itself as a medical hospital. Right now, they're positioned as a medical school simulation center, not an actual research hospital. So I take that, and if we put one on each island, which is St. Croix, St. Thomas, and St. John, a research hospital, this can offset all sorts of things. And I think it's the best approach. Let's just focus on a medical research hospital that would make us attractive with tourism, because we would need special doctors that specialize in things that is aging out, urology, radiology, etc. So that would be the major focus. I would say we need university hospitals. Chanel Fina Francis, candidate number 7 on the ballot.
Thank you, Ms. Francis. Senator Lewis, your response, please.
Thank you. One of the things, first and foremost, I'd like to say thank you to all the healthcare professionals in the territory. Whether you're in the hospitals, out the hospitals, home care, Virgin Island Fire, EMS, I want to say thank you. Because you go out there every day and you do a yeoman's job with the minimal resources you have. For Island, that is the #1 leader in all the property taxes that we collect. We have to stop treating them like a stepchild. St. John deserve their own. When WAPA told me up in St. John that they're going away to look at some generators for St. John, we're going to see if we could find a used one. I immediately told Mr. Knight, you ain't bringing no used generator to St. John. A brand new one. Let's get our own headache. You bring a brand new generator. And that's the same way I feel about the healthcare centers around here. When we talk about St. John, we have to look at it this way. We have a lot of people as well, and we're going to be honest with each other tonight. We have potential in the healthcare system, but we have a bill every year for uncompensated care. We have to find a way where we could ensure this population. Either we're going to do this, or we're going to continue running into this high cost of healthcare, and we can't be able to sustain, and the government have to foot the bill. Avery Lewis, number 6 on the ballot.
Thank you, Senator Lewis. The next subsection will deal with government accountability. What specific steps or initiatives would you support to increase government transparency, reduce waste and fraud, and strengthen public trust in government institutions? Mr. Smith.
Hallelujah. Yes, man, my time now. My time. Like I've been saying from 2024, everything I hear in the 36th legislature, I know I found it. Education, implementation, accountability. I've been talking about these issues. I even been bringing up about the minimum wage. It's from 2017. And after that, every year, it's $1. So add up and how much we supposed to be at now. But I'm going to answer the question. Accountability. They have to create awareness. They have to have more town hall meetings. Like one agency I have to compliment is PWD. Because them guys, they have a black party, they have the drinks, the food, and they have a big press conference there. And any concerned citizen could come down there and answer some of the questions they may not have answers to, and such and so forth. So every agency needs to replicate that day. But my time has come. No debate. Vote number 8, Michael A. Smith for Sen 8.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Senator Joseph.
Okay, thank you. This is really up my alley because I've been fighting and we are seeing the turnaround with the government with getting our audits done. That's the first major way that you get the accountability, and you look at where there's waste and possibility of fraud. I've also worked and been encouraging the IG office to look at getting a forensic accountant. That is how you'll be able to see where the money is spent, if somebody is taking money where they shouldn't be taking the money from. Those are critical items. And what I also have been adamant about is getting information timely and those reports timely and having it placed on the internet, on the website. Right now I have a bill in place that we're working on with property and procurement because I'm not seeing how our leases are being procured, how we are actually getting our leases between government and the private entities. So those are something that I'm working on. We want to be as transparent as possible because this is the people's money. Carla Joseph, number 2 on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Joseph. Mr. Hodge?
Thank you, Rudell Hodge, number 12 on your ballot. I think going to what Senator Joseph just stated, audits are very important in the Virgin Islands. We are behind on a lot of audits for our semi-autonomous and agencies, and that needs to change suddenly. It needs to be something that has to be a high priority for these departments and our semi-autonomous agencies. Moreover, we need to leverage technology, AI, blockchain technologies. Those are the things that will give us immutable ledgers that nobody can change, nobody can refute, because those are things that are permanent. So things of that nature, and bringing back transparency to the government. Also having public dashboards that are updated regularly and on time with enforcement, and also making sure that they are accurate so that people can understand and use them for whatever purposes that they need. Rudell A. Hodge Jr., number 12 on your ballot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Mr. Hamilton, your response, please.
Kashif Hamilton, number 1 on your ballot. You know, we look at this forum and we have to look at the people in front of us and we have to be honest. When we talk about accountability, we're talking about people being in positions and because they get a job because of who they know, and be able to stay in a position and not do their job. And because if I'm your director, I can't get a right job because you're going to call a person and put you in a position, and then know what happens. You break a whole agency, a whole department down. We have to start to be accountable. It don't matter if you is a governor, a senator, a chairperson, whoever position you in at a higher level. If you put somebody there, you have to hold a person accountable more than anything else across the board. Too much times with a seat happening right in the Virgin Islands. Somebody get a job because of who they know. They go in a position, they get comfortable, they don't do what they're supposed to do, but they keep the job. And then you break a whole agency or department down. Kashif Hamilton, number 1 on your ballot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Mr. Brown Connors.
Good evening, Joel Brown Connors, number 10 on your ballot. So, accountability in the executive branch. The legislature appropriates and approves the budget for the executive branch. To hold anybody in the executive branch accountable would be setting a whole set of standards for them, saying we want to see what you do with the money beforehand. For the last couple months or last year, you have seen officials being held accountable for their actions. The legislature cannot prevent anybody from inflating bills and going with the people's money. They can't. Unless they say we want to see your contract before you sign them off and make sure the numbers are accurate, there's nothing the legislature can do until someone internally speaks up and said, hey, there's an issue here and it's being addressed. And when that happens, what can be done by law is enhancing that whistleblower law, where if I speak up on something I see within the department, I'm not held accountable. They don't come back and attack me. That is what we can do at the legislature, is make sure when you report something, you're protected. Joel Brown Connors, number 10 on your ballot.
Thank you for your response, Mrs. Leader.
May Leader, number 9 on the ballot. First, we have to start with the top. Because I don't understand how we have commissioners, we have directors, and people are stealing hundreds of dollars, and you take months, years to find out. That's something I cannot understand. And if those people going down, the top should go down as well. And also, we need to hire people that are competent. If you cannot do the job, your last name shouldn't help you keep it. Where you went to school shouldn't help you keep it. This is a mentality we really have to get rid of if we really want a better Virgin Islanders. We have to hold ourselves accountable. We cannot wait for just 2 years or almost when it's election time to do audits. The legislature is the one who passed the bills and give those agencies money. We should make sure every 3 months we go to those agencies and check them out. And if 3 months you're not doing your job, get somebody else to do it.
Thank you, Mrs. Leader. Thank you. Senator Blyden, your response, please.
Thank you for that question. How do you stop waste, fraud, and abuse? The first thing you do, honestly, to hold people accountable is basically to have financial audit that's done on a regular basis. Many of the government agencies are behind on the audits, and right now we're going through the budget season, and some agencies are on point, some are not, and we must hold them accountable and work with them to assist them in assuring that the audits are done on a timely basis. Also, what we have been doing is going through the vetting process, because up to today, I see Commissioner Malloy there, and they were in front of us today, and they go through a rigorous process in terms of the vetting process. We all 15 senators ask a lot of questions, that we look at the number, that we crunch the number, that if something not right, we follow up and follow through. And if you have to, you go to the IG office and file a report. Also, the website. Make sure it's online, and make sure the information is there for you to see who, what, when, where, and why. So it's important to have all of the above to assure that there are not waste, fraud, and abuse going on at whatever agency. Again, Marvin Blyden, number 3 on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Blyden. Senator Bolkes, you can please.
Thank you. We do this every day, on and off of the floor. We apply purview on the departments, agencies, instrumentalities of the government of the Virgin Islands, and even sometimes, in some cases, the private sector, if it's telecommunications, etc. So we do this all the time. We pass a number of, my colleagues and I have passed a number of audit bills. We continue to have purview over the departments. And one of the things that I believe needs to be done is that we need to have transparency websites for all of the departments and agencies of the government of the Virgin Islands surrounding the remittance of in the areas of actually specifically supplies and services. In their budgets, it's always other services, and we really don't know what that is. We really don't know what that is, and we've already spent the money, so where are the receipts? Let's see how we can remit this and see how those funds were spent. So I think having a transparency website to report on how monies were spent would be a step in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Fonseca, your response, please, sir.
Yes, blessing. So I do have a bill, and it's going to give the Inspector General arresting powers, and it also revises the bidding and procurement process. Remember, we have to learn from our mistakes. If a commissioner is not on the bid evaluation committee, the commissioner should never have access to what's going on in the bidding. It's a culture. We also need to hire internal auditors. Every commissioner should have an internal auditor. And I have to piggyback on what Senator Blyden says. Right here we have Commissioner Gary Malloy. Everything he's bringing to the legislature, I could tell you, is clean. The culture of his department, we know it's clean. His audits are clean. He's reduced federal dollars, paid off down on debt. So I have to say congratulations to the hard-working people in this government. There's a lot of hard-working, honest people. So don't let the small percentage of the bad be the enemy of the good. Ray Fonseca, number 11 on the ballot.
Thank you, Senator. Ms. Francis, your response, please.
Sure, thank you. Chanel Fina Francis, candidate number 7 on the ballot. Well, everyone summed up pretty much what we can do versus audits, accountability, etc. But I believe the source is properly vetting these individuals that's in these positions. We're not asking those difficult questions, making sure that we are selecting the right person for the job. I think that's where we go wrong. Taking recommendations from the top, yes, they go, but we also have an option to say no. We can say, what's your next one? We may not like what this person has on their resume. Anyone can say a speech in front of a legislative body, and anyone can vote for this person. But do we actually vet them? Do we actually go off their experience? Do we know that they can solve these issues that is before them in their department or agency? So I think the proper vetting, that needs to happen. We need to properly vet these individuals that are in charge. Thank you.
Thank you for your response, Ms. Francis. Senator Lewis.
Thank you. I look at this in a different light. First and foremost, when I hear the word accountability, I look at myself first. Am I accountable? Am I being held accountable to the people of the Virgin Islands? Am I meeting the needs of the people of the Virgin Islands? Did my decision today make the quality of life better for the people of Virgin Islands? That's how I look at life. Am I doing the right thing first? As the chairman of Government Operations, Veterans Affairs, and Consumer Protection, I make sure I bring the different entities before us so we could ask the vexing and probing questions to make sure things are running right. Not just leave it like that and, oh, I'll get back to you, Senator. But we follow up. We call these commissioners in. A lot of times you see things on the TV. There's meetings behind closed doors as well. There's not just what's on the camera. And then when you look at accountability, I had a bill earlier this year as well, that people out there, we have a lot of individuals, and this was a passionate one that came with me when I was administrator. We have people out there that believe they could destroy government property and get away with it. And I brought property procurement in so we could try to address those matters. Again, Avery Lewis, number 6 on the ballot, accountability.
Thank you, Senator Avery. Mr. Bailey, your response, please, sir.
Peter Bailey, candidate 5. I think the issue of accountability stems from creating a culture of excellence. We've spoken, I've heard everybody talk about the nepotism, the family and friends syndrome we have in the territory. We have incredible Virgin Islanders around the world at the top of industry in every arena. We need to start recruiting them and bringing them home. Because when you create a culture of excellence, these are people that will do a job and own the job. They're not doing the job as a come-up. So there are too many people who, in our government, it's a culture. It's a culture of, I'll just do as much as I can, Peter, and just get a check. That's what's leading to the corruption. We have to create and nurture a culture of excellence because winners don't like to cheat. Winners like to win. And when we recruit the best and brightest of our territory, rest assured the corruption will end because these people will see us as one of them. They'll see the future as ownership, and they're creating a future for our home. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that response. We will now turn to crime and public safety, beginning with, let me be sure here, we are going to start with Senator Joseph.
And thank you for that question.
I haven't asked the question as yet.
I was ready to talk about crime. Anything. Thank you.
Okay, Senator, here's the information. In recent weeks, we have seen an increase in major violent crimes throughout the territory, raising concerns among residents about public safety. Would you support legislation or other initiatives to strengthen collaboration with the Virgin Islands Police Department and federal law enforcement agencies such as the FBI, DEA, ATF, and Department of Homeland Security? Please answer yes or no and explain your position.
My answer would be yes. We need to have a collaborative look at fighting crime and being serious about crime prevention, community policing, and holding people accountable. We want to be able to get those bad actors off the street, have a place where we who are law-abiding people can walk freely without having to look behind our backs. So we do have some collaboration on some level, but definitely there needs to be that level of strength where we are talking with other law enforcement agencies to resolve some of our crime issues. Look, we just had a shooting right down in Janie Tuitt by there with masked gunmen. And also we had the robbery at Cardo. We need to have CCTVs to capture these people. And I am a major supporter of the Second Amendment. You know, you have to be able to stop crime, and it is unacceptable for law-abiding people to be here having to suffer from what we are suffering from right now with a high level of crime. Carla Joseph, number 2 on the ballot.
Thank you, Senator Joseph. Mr. Hodge, your response, please.
Rudalia Hodge Jr., number 12 on your ballot. The answer would be yes. However, I would like the collaboration to be only on teaching our police department instead of policing our people in the Virgin Islands. The Virgin Islands is very unique that we have a population of that looks like us, and bringing in FBI agents or other federal agents who don't necessarily understand the population might create conflict. However, they do have resources and it can teach our police department how to do things better, and that's the way I would see the collaboration work. Again, that's Riddell A. Hodge Jr., number 12 on the ballot.
Thank you for your response, Mr. Hodge. Mr. Hamilton, your response, please.
Kashif Hamilton, number 1 on your ballot. Yes, my answer is yes to the question. But what we are missing is the prevention part. We tend to talk about the policing part, but what happened to the prevention part? I grew up where it had centers open in different communities. All these centers closed. What happened to the idle? Where are the youth to go and do with their idle time in our community? Nothing. I have a daughter, and I have to create an element for my daughter here in the Virgin Islands because there's nothing recreational. This is what we have to fix before we could even talk about policing. We have to look at the prevention methods here in the Virgin Islands first. Because if we don't do that, idle time will lead to crime. Kashif Hamilton, number 1 on your ballot.
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. Mr. Brown Connors, your response, please.
Good evening, Joel Brown Connors. And I'm in the field of law enforcement. I am a police officer, been a police officer for the last 7 years. So, yes, the collaboration is already there. We have collaboration with the federal government already. The federal agents are working within the territory. However, they're not going to respond to the minor crimes that we have. They are assigned to crimes that they're trained for. So, we want to talk about the police force. We need police officers. The dwindling numbers of police we have cannot sustain the territory. I'm not going to tell you the numbers. However, if you call 911 on a daily basis, you're seeing the same officers over and over again, morning, noon, and night. So the same officers are working 24-hour shifts, 12-hour shifts, 16-hour shifts to protect the Virgin Islands. They have to be tired. They have to be worn out. We have some of the best training in the U.S., okay? So I can't say that we're not trained. They just overwork. So when you overwork, you get tired, you start making mistakes. And that is what is happening. And no one is taking accountability for that. The officers are tired. So that's why you have this long wait time now. They're tired. So we need police officers. So encourage the people to sign up and be law enforcement officers. But we have to encourage the legislature to find the funds to pay. Because you have to pay them more than $19 an hour if you want to sustain them in the Virgin Islands. Joel Brown Connors, number 10 on your ballot.
Thank you, Mr. Brown Connors. Mrs. Leader, your response, please.
May Leader number 9 on the ballot. This one hit home because I lost my nephew, Caliph Leader, and my cousin, Detective Delbert. In order for us to somehow stop the crimes, we have to merge education with VIPD. Because most of the crimes are happening with our children because they don't have nothing to do. There is really nothing for them. Create trade school so they can learn. Not when they leave high school, from 9th grades. We used to have so many things in high school for the children to learn. We don't have anything. We cannot just have one My Brother's Workshop. We need to create several in order for them to find something to do and be creative. Because our children, they are not criminals. They just don't have someone to stand for them and to believe in them. And also making sure that we can hire police officers. But by doing that, we have to merge our children with trust in them. If they don't trust them, no matter how much money you have to hire them, nobody's want to go. And in order for us to resolve crime, we have to make sure children can trust us and the community, because our community used to be our first police.
Thank you, Mrs. Leader. Senator Blyden, your response, please.
Thank you for that question. My mama always used to say an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And that's true. It's all about prevention, as Mr. Hamilton said. I've always known, in my experience, that if you teach a man to fish, he could feed himself. Many of these men on the street don't care about a lot of things, you know. Many of them have skill set, but they have records. I remember when I was managing the housing community in Ozo Harris Court, and we went to asset management. And I went on a block and tell all the man come in the center, I need to talk to you guys. I need to hire all of you guys because we were allowed to do that, even though they had a record. I'll give you an opportunity to work, to fix your community, paint it, put the solar, do everything that needs to be done. Those guys don't smoke before you come. don't smoke doing. They came on time, they came early. Many of them are still working with different contractors. We have to give them opportunity, but again, we must provide them with the opportunities and the training in order to stop a lot of the foolishness that's going on around here. Because many times they go for jobs and they're not being hired. So that's a problem. Again, Senator Marvin Blyden, number 3 on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator. Senator Volkes, your response, please, sir.
Thank you. I just want to say that these agencies are already working together. However, there needs to be a heightened coordination and collaboration between those agencies to actually target the major issues that are plaguing our society. I heard Ms. Lida mention with children, making sure that children have the focus that is required. With the help of my colleagues, we passed the Child Victim Rights Act, which created a multidisciplinary team with many different agencies, whereas now you're able to, once the child goes to a judicial procedure, when some egregious thing has been done to the child and they go through a judicial procedure, it's modernized in the way that it protects the child from being re-traumatized. You understand? So there's issues that happen to these young children, whether it's sexual abuse or abuse physically or whatever, and then having to be in front of the person that took advantage of them. So now you have video conferencing where the child does not have to be in the same courtroom as the person who did something to them. So, and there's a lot more to it, but we've been working in that area. Thank you for the time.
And thank you for your response, sir. Senator Fonseca, your response.
Yes, good evening. So the police need to be able to solve the crimes. We have so many unsolved crimes. There's no community policing like how it used to be. Everybody know the police officer. They had faith in telling them what happened without any repercussions. Also, we have to get back to the system where the parents are not afraid of the children. There's parents knowing right now that the children have illegal guns in the house, but they're afraid of the children. We have to get out of that. We have to make sure that the parents can talk to the police without fear of repercussions. These illegal guns is a big issue. They are coming in here because someone is demanding them. We have to reduce these illegal guns. You know, we have to be able to, the criminals have to know that if they do something, they're going to get catch. We have cameras all over the place. We got shot spotters all over the place. How come we can't solve the crime? We're not getting all the information. The VIPD needs to be able to solve more crimes. Ray Fonseca, number 11 on the ballot.
Thank you so much. Ms. Francis, your response, please.
Surely, Chanel Fina Francis, candidate number 7 on the ballot. Relative to crime and the youth, on my platform, I propose a partnership with VIPD through the Virgin Islands Department of Education, which is the implementation of a junior police program. This program is for 11th and 12th graders. They're offered the training, they're doing school monitor duties during school hours or what have you. Upon graduation, they're offered an opportunity to join the force. That would solve the shortage in our policing. So I think that would be a great additive to what everyone else is saying. This junior police program through the schools would definitely, it would curb a lot of activities in the schools too, because teens take advice from other teens. Adults may not so much. So with this program, I think it could be beneficial to our youth in the territory, the junior police program. Chanel Fina Francis, candidate number 7 on the ballot.
Thank you, Ms. Francis. Senator Lewis, please, your response.
Could you repeat the question? I want to make sure I answer this correctly.
Yes, sir. In recent weeks, we've seen an increase in major violent crimes throughout the territory, raising concerns among residents about public safety. Would you support legislation or other initiatives to strengthen collaboration with the Virgin Islands Police Department and federal law enforcement agencies such as the FBI, DEA, ATF, and the Department of Homeland Security? Please answer yes or no and explain your position.
I would say yes, up to the point that the federal government have a lot of access to a lot of resources. But I also want to say to you that I know for a fact that most of them already have peace officer powers. And a lot of guns are coming in here, but we don't have no manufacturing plant here. So how the guns getting in? That's a federal government job. So everybody have to work together. So they could do that, but we have to police on our end. We have a playbook already. I remember when I was younger, the guys used to go out in a van, a green van, jump out on you and go in different neighborhoods, shake you down and thing. We have to start making life a little uncomfortable for the criminals. We can't, gone are the days when we're making them feel good. But we as a community need to work together, because I see when the police have roadblocks and things, we jump on WhatsApp and we jump on Facebook and say, they to the bottom of Rappoon Hill, they to the this. It's those little nuggets is what will stop the crime. Those little nuggets. No, that's read the newspaper. It's those little nuggets is where, through the traffic stops, they net a gun. They were able to stop somebody. Something egregious happened. So, and another thing is, I have a bill in place with $6 million to put the rapid shutter cameras here. So when you're doing illegal stuff, you run red lights and different things, we could capture those individuals as well. Thank you, Avery Lewis, number 6 on the ballot.
Thank you, Senator Lewis. Mr. Bailey, your response, please.
Peter Bailey, candidate number 5. It's ironic because every lawmaker on this panel is fully aware that I was part of the team led by then Senator Myron Jackson, who created the Office of Gun Violence Prevention. And it's the first of its kind in the Caribbean. And the purpose of that office is exactly what we're discussing. To bring in nonprofits, vocational programs, and a cohesive, holistic, comprehensive approach to addressing the gun violence. Prevention is very important. We're saying this term, criminals. These young men, they're not born killers. I went to Ivana Udorican. Forgive me if I'm getting emotional. My 2 best friends were murdered. So those are criminals, right? It's about most young people don't wake up wanting to kill somebody. If you give people a sense of purpose, the likelihood of them blowing someone's head off is nil to none. We have to create more programs to give our young men and our young people a sense of purpose and direction. So I am planning to reinvent the Office of Gun Violence, expand it. I think one of the errors we made, it got politicized and it should be moved away from the office it is now. But this is a step we've already worked on and we're working on still. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Mr. Smith, your response, please.
Yes, Michael A. Smith, no debate. Vote number 8 for Senate. Crime is the biggest topic next to WAPA. And we're about to soon change the name from WAPA to WAPUPA. But differently, right? I'm planning to definitely work with my legislators and my colleagues, to legislate in the educational curriculum, the school, the program for police academy. Just like I already have the JROTC. That could be some kind of initiative leading to future prospects that could help with law enforcement. Alongside, like Peter mentioned, I also work alongside with gun violence prevention. So I know the all need of going to the schools, which I do, talking to the children, like I say, education, implementation, accountability, enforcement. Right there and done. But also empowering the community for more community engagement, encouraging the people to create safe communities. So that's my time. I feel like it'll go so fast, though, but my colleagues, no debate, vote number 8.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Thank you. Thank you. In the essence of time, we have a collaborative opportunity. I'm going to ask all of you on the panel. So I'm going to announce your name when I present the question to you, and I will announce your name again when I thank you. So we're asking that you reserve your pitch with your name and your number for your closing remarks. Can we agree on that, everyone?
No.
Well, that's what it's going to be in the essence of time. All these wonderful people have been very patient, and we would like to be able to get through the germane questions of the debate. Moving right along, the next issue or the next component is going to be housing. The question goes to Mr. Hodge. Affordable housing remains out of reach for many residents across the territory. What policies or programs would you support to increase housing availability and affordability for current and future generations of Virgin Islanders?
Thank you for the question. In terms of housing and affordability of housing, we have to think about how we are designing our houses and how we are building the houses in the Virgin Islands. Resources and materials for building a house is exuberant in the Virgin Islands, and we need to think about using prefabricated housing, machinery, using pre-builds, so forth and so on, to bring down the price of housing in the Virgin Islands. In terms of programs, we need to expand the programs to allow for development of affordable housing units in the Virgin Islands. We could take an example of like a New York, where every development has to give a certain amount of housing to low-income earners and be able to have those programs in the Virgin Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Hodge, for your response. Mr. Hamilton, your response, please.
When it comes to housing, we have to first work on education, because we need to educate our community on how to fix your credit. Because at the end of the day, we mention low-income housing. But who the low-income, who is it for? It can't be the everyday person, because the everyday person are working hard, looking at their income and saying, well, I meet the low-income criteria, but now when I go, I can't qualify. We have to look at our banking here in the Virgin Islands. Because if anybody ever try to even go get a loan, it's not the easiest thing to do here in the Virgin Islands, when we have to go and try to get some money. Because when we try and get money, the cost of building in the Virgin Islands is outrageous. So this is thing what people get detoured from. So we have to work on making sure that people know how to fix the credit, and we have to work on trying to gain some kind of different banking here in the Virgin Islands that will make gain a loan to actually owning something here in the Virgin Islands more conducive.
Thank you, Mr. Brown-Connors. Mrs. Leader, your response, please.
That was Hamilton.
I'm sorry, Mr. Hamilton. My apologies. Mr. Brown-Connors, your response, please.
Good evening. So as I said, the programs are out there, like the VI Slice program and the grants out there. However, when they do come, we don't qualify because of our credit scores. I mean, I sat in a room of 50 law enforcement officers through the VI Slice program, and 1 out of the 50 qualified because of the criteria that they set. The standards that are there, we don't meet them. So for many reasons, we don't. However, working for the government as all government employees, there should be some a criteria met where if we're vested in the government and they know we can pay back, we will pay back, and we work for you, that you afford us the opportunity to either get a house, you give us the loan, you give us the loan, and we finance it through the government where we pay back monthly through our pay. You know what we're making, you know, to take back, and that was my take. And that is what I'm working on, is figuring out a way to get the government to give those loans to government employees and take base off of what we have. So that is Joel Brown-Connors.
Thank you, Mr. Brown-Connors. And now, Mrs. Leader.
We should start with financial literacy, teaching from high school. Because we have a lot of children who doesn't understand that. And then you remember, we only have one university down here. So if you're not majored into business, you may miss a lot. Have a lot of town hall meetings where we can give the community knowledge so they can understand what is going on, what is out there, how they can get some help. And also, so many abandoned buildings that belongs to the government. Why can't we turn them into low-income housing for the community, for our seniors, for our mental health people? So I think it starts with financial literacy, and also understand the community are hurting. They are not getting better.
Thank you, Mrs. Leader. Senator Blyden, your response, please.
Thank you so much for that question. I must say that in terms of housing, first we must create access to the banks and also qualifications. I've had a housing summit last year. I have my second annual housing summit coming up on the 13th and the 15th of August. And what that summit did was assist a lot of individuals who did not have access to the banks and or who were land rich and cash poor to actually succeed in getting a home. Right now, I've been meeting with DPNR in terms of having pre-planned tiny homes that are already approved to assist many individuals in terms of middle-income individuals, teachers, police officers, government employees, because everything out there is for low income. There's none for medium income, and that's what I'm focusing on. It's very important, and it's very critical. So I just wanted to mention that. And also, when it comes to home ownership opportunities, you have the slice, you have the first-time home buyers program in which me and my colleagues supported and sponsored, and many other programs in respect to our people here in the territory, because we are actually forcing our people to leave the island, because why would I stay and I got to live with my mom? That's crazy. Again, Senator Marvin Blyden, number 3 on the ballot. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator Bolkes. Your response, please.
Thank you. I want to say that there are programs out there that provide housing or try to provide housing to the people of the Virgin Islands, and VI Slice is one of them. It's the most successful program simply because it's a grant program. And right now, the Chief Counsel of the Legislature has a bill that I am the primary sponsor for to resolve and solve the VI Slice funding source. So I'm looking forward to bringing that piece of legislation, because once it's passed with the help of my colleagues, and several of my colleagues have already said they support the bill, we'll be able to create a funding source for VI Slice so that VI Slice could then be codified and exist perpetually. So that means when you try to apply to the VI Slice program, you get a grant rather than a loan. So that is something that we're working on, and I plan to bring that piece of legislation in this 36th legislature of the Virgin Islands. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Fonseca, your response, please.
Yes, you know, this single item is what the Democratic Party is famous for. Earl B. Otley, in his days, he created all those low-income homes. I remember when I left Savannah as a young boy, we moved into Bavoni. Mom had 7 kids, but we moved into a 2-bedroom, and of course, Pops added 2 bedrooms later. So that's a lesson in that we as a government have to provide that subsidized home, but also you have to be disciplined. You cannot want to have a new Mercedes-Benz and your husband or your wife have a new Mercedes-Benz and then you want to move into a 4,000 square foot home. It's not going to happen. The GERS, okay, when I got my home, I was a government employee. The GERS was very, very helpful. We need to get back to that. The legislature, my colleagues, we've instituted some loan programs to help Virgin Islands get back on their feet. We also need to have more portable water lines because that would reduce the cost of a cistern, which is about 20 to 30% of your homes. Ray Popa Fonseca, number 11.
Ms. Francis, your response, please.
Thank you. As a realtor for over 10 years in Georgia and in the Virgin Islands, what I can tell you is the average home price is over $550,000. It's not attainable to the average person. So what do we do to combat that? We have to suggest innovative options, and that's possibly tiny homes, prefabricated homes, lesser square footage, lesser materials, more affordable options. Now, I also want to say I did attend the housing summit that Senator Blyden as a realtor, and I proposed those options to give to the people to say, hey, we can use different building materials to get the same job done. As a working professional, we don't need all the square footage like Senator Fonseca said. We're in our working years. We don't need that. We're going to work, coming home, and doing it all over again. So we need to explore innovative options, smaller living spaces, so that they're affordable for us to attain. Chanel Fina Francis.
Thank you for your response. Before we move to Senator Lewis for his response, may I please remind the panel again, no cell phones during the forum. Thank you. Senator Lewis, your response, please.
Thank you. One of the things I'll say tonight is that we have access right now to several different programs. Slice program, Own a Lot, Build a Home. We have a cistern and grant, cistern and slab program, and we have, HFA have other programs. Also get involved with them getting their first-time home buyers class. It's a very good class. But one of the things I saw when Slice program come is that we really didn't have that conversation with the banks to say, how could you offset, make the program a little more incentivized, have a little lower interest rate versus that. But the program is designed that when you go to the bank, that if the bank say you qualify for 200,000, but you need 300,000, the program is supposed to give you the 100,000 as a stopgap program. That's how the program is designed, not to build your whole entire house. But again, moving on, for me, as a legislator, what legislators do we legislate to make life easier for the people? I have a bill in right now in legal counsel to try to cap the permitting at a minimal rate. I think I said $500 for all permits for a first-time home buyer. Because during the permitting fees, they will kill you. So if we could just cap that and make life easier for the people of the Virgin Islands. Number 6 on the ballot, Avery Lewis.
Thank you, Senator Lewis. Mr. Bailey, your response to the same question, please.
Peter Bailey, number 5 on the ballot. As spoken earlier, I mentioned that container homes, prefab homes, are an affordable option. But we also have to create a government-sponsored rent-to-own initiative. Definitely a government-sponsored rent-to-own initiative. And there is a slice program. We need to make these things more accessible to our people because we're in the midst of gentrification. If we're not careful, a new set of people are coming with resources, and the existing Virgin Islands is going to be buried. So this is a critical issue. So definitely a government-sponsored rent-to-home, tiny homes, prefabs, and expansion of this slice program because there's a slice program, but a lot of local people are saying that, look, I never heard of it. I don't have access to it. So we have to make that process more affordable and seamless for our people. Thank you.
Thank you for your response. Mr. Smith, your response, please.
Yes, thank you again for the question. Housing. VIHFA already has a program. Everybody is fully aware of it. I've been through the program. Yes, I've been through the program twice, matter of fact. But the problem is that we are missing several opportunities to capture the lacking moments, such as they could, like I keep on implementing and saying. We don't empower people to become non-profit organizations which can really help and assist many agencies. This stuff is written in housing laws, in their policies. They work alongside HUD and these different facilities to secure grants for such movements. All what we are talking about, we have everything VI. We have everything on the books. It's for we to amend them and make things correct to modernization. And that's what's going on, you know? We need to create the awareness for the people to know what direction to go. Empower our people. Don't exterminate the people. For everything will be created for the people and by the people, meeting the needs that needed to be met. No debate. Vote number 8, Michael A. Smith for Senate. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Senator Joseph, your response, please.
Relative to housing, I had the opportunity to manage over $60 million in low and moderate income housing. Today, one of those communities standard, which is the Louis E. Brown housing community. One of the things we want to really look at and capitalize on is looking at container homes and the small homes too. They hold up a very tiny space for persons who are in the moderate income to, if you have a lot, and couple it with some of the programs that we already have existing here in the Virgin Islands. Those are things that we can do innovatively so that we can have more persons owning a piece of the rock here in the Virgin Islands, rather than looking at your traditional mortar and pestle facilities and buildings. Container homes, small homes with smaller imprint that could help take it, because really you just want a place to live. Carla Joseph, number 2 on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Joseph. We'll move to the next section, youth retention. Many young Virgin Islanders leave the territory to pursue educational or employment opportunities elsewhere. What legislation would you create to encourage them to remain in the territory or return after completing their education? That question goes to Mr. Hamilton.
Well, that's something that I don't speak on, especially because it happened with me. When you're here in the Virgin Islands and you work hard, you go to school, and then you turn around and then you hear that you can't afford this, you can't afford that, and then you go away to school and you come back, and when you come back, you're not getting paid what you know you work hard to get paid for. So now we have to look at how we're going to create more jobs in the Virgin Islands, especially to those that go away. Because once we have people home, and we create economic development here to bring people home, to keep them home. We can't keep having people leaving the Virgin Islands because we're saying, hey, I will make a better life away, while other people coming to the Virgin Islands and making a life here. So we have to make sure that we walk along and try to create jobs and open the door and make it easier for people to be able to go in and get a job. Because a lot of times when you go, you don't see that it's hard. You go in, you do everything you're supposed to do, you don't get a phone call. And this is something that I witnessed over and over and time again.
Thank you, Mr. Brown-Connors, for your response. Mrs. Hamilton, I am so sorry. Mr. Hamilton, I've done that twice. I think so too. But anyway, we're moving right along nicely. Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. And now may I have your response, Mr. Brown-Connor?
Yes, so I don't want to have to repeat the question, but going back to keeping people or retaining people on the island, goes back to the cost of living, it goes back to the conditions that we live in. There's so much, all the problems are overlapping. Why would I want to come back knowing that I'm coming back to no power, daily power outages? Why would I want to come back knowing that the wages are below what they should be? Those things have to increase or improve. Once we improve those, we can retain people because there are jobs. The first responder field is filled with jobs. There are jobs throughout the medical field. There are jobs, but they're just not paying enough here. When you look online, the comparison is so high in the States that why would I want to come back to the Virgin? So to help retain, we have to first fix those underlying issues, sustaining the powers, the low cost of food. Once those are maintained, then we can keep people in the Virgin Islands across raising their wages. So, Joel Brown-Connors.
Thank you, Mr. Brown-Connors. And now, Mrs. Leader, your response, please.
Before we can ask them to come home, we got to fix home first. And I don't think that they don't want to come home. They do want to come home. Nobody wants to live anywhere else but in the Virgin Islands. But do they trust us? It's like we're making jokes of them, asking them to come home for what? And when they do come home, are we allowing them to use their knowledge? We don't. We don't understand that, it's a new time. Allow them to be the new commissioners. Allow them to be the new directors. It's okay if you spend 20, 30 years and we have a new generation. Put them in place so they can use their own knowledge that they learn, really hard. Go into the States and leave your parents, your family, go somewhere cold. It's not easy. But when they do come home, give them something to work with.
Thank you, Mrs. Leader, for your response. And now we'll hear from Senator Blyden with his response.
Thank you for that question. I believe first we must create opportunities for our young people. I remember when my daughter came home, because she wanted to be home with her dad, and she worked, made a pretty good salary, $80,000+. But she was like, Daddy, I can't stay here, and I can't live up that money, number one. Number two, I don't want to live with you guys. Number three, if I go to the States, I'll get my own house. Yeah, she did all of the above when she went back. So why would many of our young people want to stay here? The cost of living she complained about. So we have to create an environment that's conducive to them staying and wanting to stay. We must incentivize them. We must be able to pay them the money that they deserve, and we must be able to have a safe environment for them to live in because there's not much for them to do, as they say, all the time. Where am I going to go? Some place I go, it's problems. I don't want to go there. So there's many things we have to do to improve our situation here in the territory in order to incentivize our young people to stay. Because there are many jobs available, as Mr. Cannon said. Every budget season there are many vacancies. But like I said, the amount is not enough and people don't want to be staying at home with their parents or roommating with someone else. So again, Marvin Blyden, I'm a about it.
Thank you, Senator Blyden, for your response. Senator Bolkes, your response, please.
I was a farmer at large representative on the Board of Education, and we used to I assume they still continue to do so, and provide scholarships to students. And part of those scholarships, which we even legislate, is for them to come back and work for a certain period of time in the Virgin Islands. Now, that's the difficult part, getting them back here. However, what we need to do is incentivize these students to come back, and when they do come back, to provide immediate job placements for them, and even incentivize them by providing them with some sort of discount on government services or some sort, because at the end of the day, we cannot compete with the United States of America. The salaries there are way more competitive, and we have to find innovative ways of incentivizing these individuals to come back home. So as a government, we really need to look at ways how we can just provide something for them to make it attractive. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Fonseca, your response, please.
Yes, so I think the issues that we've been discussing tonight are some of the things we need to do to increase youth retention. We need to have more affordable housing. We need to reduce inflation. We need to improve the health care. We need to reduce crime. We need to provide more better opportunities. All of the things that we have been discussing tonight are the things that we need to do as a government, and that I commit to you to continue to do so that we can have more opportunities and have increased youth retention. Ray Fonseca, number 11 on the ballot.
Thank you, Senator, for your response. Ms. Francis, your response, please. Thank
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yes, I can. Sorry, Kaiser. I'll come back to you in a second. So the question was, many young Virgin Islands leave the territory to pursue educational or employment opportunities elsewhere. What legislation would you create to encourage them to remain in the territory or return after completing their education?
Well, thank you for the question. Everyone summed up pretty much what we need to do. It starts with housing. We're not attractive if we don't have any place to live. So I'm going to use myself as an example. I came back. I ended up in my grandmother's one-bedroom efficiency, okay? My check was half in deductions. I could not find an apartment. So this is all the things that we need to channel and resolve. We need to provide housing opportunities because nobody wants to live in grandma's one-bedroom efficiency. Nobody wants to deal with that. We need to create a space that makes us attractive. If you go to other countries, they provide housing. They provide lesser bills. You don't have to pay as much. Electricity is offset. All of these things, so you're able to save your money that you're earning. That is all I have. We need to create a space conducive to having our youth stay here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Francis, for your response. Senator Lewis, your response, please.
Thank you for that question. I think basically all the questions we asked here today really was a culmination right down to this question. And one of the things we have to be careful of is when we're answering these questions as the position that we're seeking. We as legislators, we're three co-equal branches of government. We legislate, then there's the executive branch where executes, and then we have the judicial system. Now when we talk about legislating, we have been doing that already. We're putting things in place. We've been making sure money goes into the SLICE programs. We're trying to put affordable housing out there. We're trying to improve the infrastructure and do all the right things so when our children them come out. And one of the things that I'm pushing is our technical college. Again, I feel that once a child learns a skill, every child is going to go to a traditional four-year college. We have to give them opportunities. And a technical college is one of the things. We have nursing, we have, welders. These are trades that we're going to need out there. And these people will not just be counting other people's money. They'll be counting their money. They'll be their own bosses. They'll be doing all the right things for themselves. Avery Lewis, number 6 on the ballot.
Thank you, Senator Lewis, for your response. Mr. Bailey, your response, please.
Peter Bailey, candidate number 5. Ironically, the answer to that question is why I'm in this race, is why I'm sitting at this table. I was 23 years old, the youngest writer in Time magazine's history, overlooking Central Park. The Paradise Discovered films I produced won at least 5 major film festivals. My first book was reviewed in the New York Times. My current series is on Amazon Prime. Why do I say this? I came home, every door closed. Every door closed. So I decided, I have to enter this political arena to add something. So my plan is bringing home the best and brightest. Bringing home the best and brightest. Identifying Virgin Islanders at the top of every industry worldwide and creating a bridge for them to mentor young people in our territory along those skill sets. We have to cherish each other. We do a piss poor job in the Virgin Islands of valuing our best and brightest. I am one of those best and brightest. And that question is why I'm sitting here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Your response, Mr. Smith, please.
Question, please.
The question, sir, many young Virgin Islanders leave the territory to pursue educational or employment opportunities elsewhere. What legislation would you create to encourage them to remain in the territory or return after completing their education?
Yes, thank you for the question. Yes, youth retention. I am a product of the same thing. I got sent away when I was, 14 years old. And my encouragement to these youngsters out here, I don't mind them going away. Because if we don't have the opportunities, yes, strive for some elsewhere. But go there with a mission to accomplish something that is not here in the VI. Learn it up there and bring it back to implement it so we could be empowered as entrepreneurs. And also, I will legislate something in the educational curriculum for financial literacy courses from elementary, empowering the people to let the money work for us and not us working so hard for the money. We got to be smart out there. Everybody talking about artificial intelligence, making it better. The old need to know the new. But the new need to know the old too, in intelligence articulated. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Smith, for your response. Senator Joseph, your response, please.
One of the major issues and barriers that we face for our young people or any person who live off island to return back home is they need a place to live. I know one of my panelists, aspirants indicated that. I think it's Ms. Francis and many others. And also that is one of the things. You want to have an affordable place that you can live. The next thing is that we have to be able to pay people well. We don't have the sufficient funding and the source of funds, the tax base especially to do that. And we do offer opportunities with EDC beneficiaries. So there are those opportunities, but it's to make those connections. And the Department of Labor, they do a great job in trying to make those connections with people and also to assure that they have those openings and they are compliant. But I really think that one of the critical elements is for us to be able to get the housing and have it affordable. Carla Joseph, number 2 on the ballot. Thank you.
Thank you for your response. Mr. Hodge, your response, please.
Thank you for the question. I think it starts with looking at the inventory of government-owned properties and figuring out how we could get those properties used for housing for our returning Virgin Islanders. Brain drain is a true crisis in the Virgin Islands. When it's the reality that many students in the Virgin Islands decide that there's nothing for them here, that they want to leave and never come back. That is something that we have to do as a territory to address and creating those pathways for people to come back. Furthermore, in terms of the open job placements, we have to realize that it might make sense to combine some of those jobs to actually pay the salaries that the students and the returning Virgin Islanders need to survive in the current economy. If we implement those things, we will be able to actually reduce the brain drain and actually bring back a population of the Virgin Islands. Because if you really look at the Virgin Islands, we have a declining birth rate, and that's going to cause serious effects in the Virgin Islands if we do not address it.
Thank you for your response, Mr. Hodge. And now the final question of the round robin, and it goes to Mr. Brown Connors. What is one position you hold that may be unpopular, but that you believe is necessary for the future of the Virgin Islands?
Good night, Joel Brown Connors. Perfect. One position that I hold that is unpopular but needed, law enforcement police officer. It's very unpopular. You hear, my name is called all over Facebook, all over the streets. However, it is needed. Without law enforcement, it's a lawless community. Right now, we're facing that part because we're lacking law enforcement officers. So it is a position where accountability is needed. It is a needed position. However, we the people, don't like to be held accountable. And when we are held accountable, we backlash at the people that are holding us accountable. So I don't take it personal for the people that I give citations to or the people that have been arrested and swear at me. I don't take it personal. It's a job. I do my job, and I plan to do my job in the 37th Legislature. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your response. Mrs. Leader, your response to the same question, please.
I would say a small business owner as a woman. It is somewhat popular, but it's really not, because we have so many obstacles when it comes to small businesses, especially women in this territory. We really can't improve as women. And when we look at it, we have most of the small businesses here, it's women who try to start them, but somehow nothing is being available for them. What I would do is making sure that women in business are very much empowered and have the grants so they can really be the backbone and that example to their own family.
Thank you for your response, Mrs. Leader. Senator Blyden, your response, please, sir.
Thank you so much for that question. The position I hold right now as a senator. But it's very important because we create the laws, we amend the laws. And right now we are doing the budget for the government of the Virgin Islands, which is $1.7 billion. That's what we do. It's not a popular job, but someone got to do it. And when you do it, I believe you should do it from your heart. Because you don't work for yourself, you work on behalf of the people. You represent the people. And that is why I'm hearing tonight, which I hear a lot in terms of home ownership opportunities for our young people. That's why I created the Innovative Housing Construction Summit, because of the issues we are facing. And that is why I have been meeting with the banks, I've been meeting with contractors, I've been meeting with developers to assure that we can have homes between $325,000 and $400,000, whereas it's affordable, the same price many folks are paying right now for rental properties. And it makes sense, in my opinion. But it's not a popular position. No matter what you say or do, people are going to be against you and for you. And you just have to have your heart in the right place and you'll be fine. Marvin Blyden, I'm going to turn the ballot. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Senator Blyden. Senator Bolkes, before you answer, let me clarify the question a little bit. What is one position, view, perspective that you hold and that may be unpopular but that you believe is necessary for the future of the Virgin Islands?
Okay, thank you, because I was about to ask you in what context were you using the word position.
Thank you.
In relation to that, I see myself as a proactive senator. I like to look ahead. And sometimes some of the positions that I may hold are not as popular as others. For instance, some would say that the school on St. John was not a good piece of legislation. But for me, looking ahead to the future and assuring that the young people of St. John actually have a high school that doubles down as a storm shelter, for me, my foresight along with my colleagues is that that was a good piece of legislation that is going to secure the youth of St. John for quite a long time. So it wasn't popular with everyone when that whole bill came up, but we did the right thing. At the end of the day, I believe my colleagues and I did the right thing, and now we're going to have a high school for the first time ever on the island of St. John. Thank you.
Thank you for your response, Senator Bolkes. Senator Fonseca, your response, please.
Yes, good evening. It's a difficult, I have two of them. One is I think we need to do more for the young males in the community. We're losing them. And then the other one, I guess, right now is WAPA. You know, I think we need to do either one or two, three things to WAPA. We need to do the Chapter 9 restructuring a receivership, or as the legislature has proposed, a turnaround company. But we have to do it right immediately because the people can't continue with this suffering. Ray Fonseca, number 11 on the ballot.
Thank you, sir, for your response. Ms. Francis, your response, please.
Please repeat the question once more, please.
Yes, I can. What is the one position, view, perspective you hold that may be unpopular but that you believe is necessary for the future of the Virgin Islands?
I'll name a couple. I possess resilience, and I also possess integrity, which is lacking, as we can see what's going on in our climate, in what we're dealing with right now. So I am a resilient source. I am not one to fold. This is a forum put together by the Democratic Party, which I'm very appreciative of, because I just want to highlight, I haven't left the party. I stayed true. So my resilience is showing. I possess integrity. And those are two things I wanted to highlight about myself, that I possess integrity, which is lacking in all aspects, and also my resilience to serve the party, and if afforded the option, or if allowed the vote to get into the Senate, it would be a great benefit. Thank you.
Thank you for your response, Ms. Francis. Senator Lewis, your response, please.
Well, let me see if I could answer this how I think you're proposing the question.
Okay.
One of the things I think that's non-negotiable for me is how I address people, my leadership. It's not about being in charge. It's about meeting the needs of the people. It's about getting out there, being given proven results. And on the flip side, to the other way, what I think you may be going with the question is, one of the things I have championed as in the legislature is solving and save the insolvency of our GRS. I promoted legislation. Right now, we know we have the Hotel Development Act, and we had some legislation where they banned proceeds, that after 30 years, the West End would revert back to the government of the Virgin Islands. Through legislation, I proposed that in 30 years, instead of going back to the government of the Virgin Islands, it goes to the government employee retirement system to help solve the insolvency, to bring solvency to the system. And that's one of the things I'm
Thank you for your response, Senator. Thank you. Mr. Bailey, your response, please, to the same question.
Peter Bailey, candidate number 5. I'd like to call this era in Virgin Islands history the bridge. We are in the greatest intergenerational shift we've ever seen. But unfortunately, I don't think our young people have been prepared to carry the torch and push our society forward. So I guess the unpopular opinion I'll address is, when I entered the race, Peter, the young people don't vote, you know. It's all elders who vote. So I'm asking our elders, will you create a bridge for your best and brightest to take our future, our culture, and our dreams beyond where you couldn't go? Will you allow us to use the tools we have to take your wisdom even further? Will we build this bridge? And will our elders pass the torch? Because it's necessary. Our future depends on it. Our future depends on it. If you as elders don't groom the next generation, your legacy dies. It ends. The key to immortality is who you empowered, who you left, whose life you breathed a breath of air into. So I'm asking the elders with that challenge to pass the torch, groom us, and let us go to the next level. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey, for your response. Mr. Smith, your response, please, sir.
Question?
Question, what is one position, view, perspective you hold that may be unpopular but that you believe is necessary for the future of the Virgin Islands?
Well, as a man who hold many jobs, so when they're talking about jobs, it's hard to find. I remember once upon my lifetime, in probably 2023, I had like 7 jobs. So if you have a will, there is a will to obtain everything. We need to stop looking for excuses and start putting our best foot forward. But one job that I had was an armed security guard. It's needed in the Virgin Islands for more citizens and legal gun owners, helping to add to protect and serve its communities, not watching and observing, but actually helping to curb the crime and violence in our territory. Big up VI gun owners trying to create security, also safety. Vote number 8, no debate. Michael A. Smith for Senate.
Thank you, Mr. Smith, for your response. Senator Joseph, your response, please.
Thank you so much. That's a very critical question because I know I have supported a lot of unpopular legislation and I've sponsored them as well. One legislation that I have in the midst is the discrimination in housing based on your income. That's a big one because a lot of people discriminate against people because of their income. Another one was regarding noise ordinances to shut down the businesses that are creating all of this noise in residential areas. Again, a very controversial, and I'm still working on it, and that's why I want you to give me a vote. The third one, of course, is when I ask that we ship off island all of the inmates who are on island because we are paying $320 a day based on the Bureau of Correction to house one inmate. And when we ship them off island, it's either $109 we're paying or $89 per day. Carla Joseph, your senator and servant, number 2 on the ballot. Vote for me and you. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Joseph. Mr. Hodge, your comment, please, your response.
Thank you for the very interesting question. I think the unpopular opinion for the Virgin Islands is actually being more collaborative in the greater Caribbean region. The Virgin Islands has been very isolated for a while as we look to America as our ally, but we need to look at the region as a place that we need to create strong bonds and be a collaborative instrument in the Caribbean region. So thank you for the time.
Thank you for your response. And the final response for this question, Mr. Hamilton, sir.
Well, for me, my unpopular position is because I stand with my local firearm owners. I am a firearm owner, a licensed firearm owner. And it's necessary because I also am a DJ and I have a family to protect. When I out in the middle of the night and I carry equipment and I getting paid cash the end of the night and having to been in a situation where I must get robbed already. And that in a situation that nobody ever want to have to face. But then you turn wrong and want to protect yourself and protect your business, but yet it's hard for you to even go and try to renew a firearm. I went to renew my firearm in February and I didn't get it back until May. How? That's impossible. And my cry was, the end of the day, y'all know I have to DJ through Carnival. But yet I was unarmed during Carnival collecting cash 3-4 gigs at night. No, we can't look at people that carry firearm and treat us like we're criminals.
Thank you for your response, Mr. Hamilton. That brings us to the end of the round robin questions. Dr. Carlwood would now take us through the
rapid fire questions. So these questions are just yes or no. We're going to go very quickly, yes or no. So we'll start with Mr. Hello? Okay. We'll start with Mr. Brown Connors. The first question is, should a federal emergency be declared to address the ongoing issues facing the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority? Yes or no?
Yes.
We'll move on to Ms. Leader. Yes or no?
Yes.
Senator Blyden?
No.
Senator Bolquez?
Yes.
Senator Fonseca?
No.
Senator Ms. Francis?
Can you repeat the question?
Should a federal emergency be declared to address the ongoing issues facing the Virgin Islands Water and Power Authority?
Yes.
Senator Lewis?
No.
Mr. Bailey?
No.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Senator Joseph,
Yes.
Mr. Hodge,
Yes.
Mr. Hamilton.
Yes.
The next question is, would you vote to raise taxes if it was necessary to balance the budget? Ms. Leader,
Yes.
Senator Blyden,
No.
Senator Bolquez, Senator Fonseca. You have to talk into the mic.
No.
So Bolquez,
No.
Fonseca,
No.
Ms. Francis,
Repeat the question.
would you vote to raise taxes if it were necessary to balance the budget?
No.
Senator Lewis,
No, no taxes for the people.
Mr. Bailey,
No.
Mr. Smith,
No tax.
Senator Joseph,
No, our cost of living is too high.
Mr. Hodge,
No.
Mr. Hamilton,
No.
Mr. Brown Connors,
No.
Ms. Leader. I think you answered that question already. Okay, good. So we move on to the next question. If elected, will you publicly post your attendance record, legislation sponsored or drafted, and voting record each month?
Yes.
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 Yes, I do that all now.
Yes.
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 With an anticipated Democratic majority, would you invite independent senators into the majority?
No.
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 Yes.
Yes, we can together.
I never have. No.
Yes.
I'm a Democrat. No.
No.
No, but if it's for the greater good, we should consider.
No.
Don't forget to say your name. Should convicted felons be allowed to run for public office in the U.S. Virgin Islands?
No.
Don't forget to say your name.
Senator Angel Bolquez Jr., no.
Senator Ray Popa Fonseca, no.
Chanel Fina Francis, no.
Avery Lewis, number 6, no.
Depending on the crime, if they serve their debt to society and it's not a murder, yes. Everybody deserves a second chance in life.
That's right. Everybody deserves a second chance in life, depending on the crime.
It depends on the crime. And once they have paid their due to...
So remember, yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
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 Last question. Don't forget to say your name. Do you support term limits for Virgin Islands senators?
Senator Angel Bolquez Jr., no.
Senator Ray Fonseca, no.
Chanel Fina Francis, yes.
Avery Lewis, no.
Yes, of course.
Yes, my people.
No. Carla Joseph.
Rudell A. Hodge Jr., yes.
Kashif Hamilton, yes.
Joel Brown Connors, yes.
May Leader number 9, yes.
Marvin Blyden, number 3, no.
So at this time, we will allow all candidates to do their closing, the 30 minutes closing, 30-second closing. Sorry, 30 minutes, we'll be here all night. 30-second closing, we'll start with Senator Bolquez.
Thank you so much, and good evening, and thank everyone for being here this evening. I am not running in the primary, but please look for me on the general election ballot. And I want to say I want to continue doing the work that I've been doing for the Virgin Islands. I've passed a number of bills, the Safe Haven Act, school speed zones. We purchased a bill that I sponsored that purchased the Department of Labor building so they don't have to pay rent anymore. So we really need more pieces of legislation like that, and I want to continue that work. The Caribbean Basin, Child Victim Rights Act, and the list goes on, but asking for your vote on General Election Day. Thank you very much.
Yes, good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to come before you to discuss with you my ideas. I'm your candidate number 11 on the ballot, Ray Fonseca, and I continue to work hard for those that can't have a voice, for those that are elderly, for those that are youthful. The job of a senator requires a detailed knowledge of government operations. Just today, in the Committee on Budget and with the meeting on Government House, we were dealing with over $1 billion in different types of investments and activities. It requires a detailed knowledge of government operations, integrity, and accountability. Number 11, Ray Fonseca.
Thank you. Well, I just want to thank everyone for sitting through this forum. It's been a pleasure. My name is Chanel Fina Francis. I'm a realtor. I'm a mom. I'm just passionate about seeing this place through. I'm asking for your vote of confidence, but also I'm inviting you to my fish fry. That's Friday in Fort Christian parking lot. All Democrats come out and show your support. Of course, vote number 7 in the primary election on August 1st. Thank you.
Leadership, loyalty, legacy. Number 6, your Democratic candidate, Avery Lewis. There's still much more work to be done. We have to improve our infrastructure. We have to look out for our young ones. Those are the people that's the future of tomorrow. Again, Avery Lewis, number 6. I ask you for one of your precious votes August 1st. Thank you very much. Everybody get home safely. May God bless these beautiful Virgin Islands.
I'm Peter Bailey, candidate number 5. And I'm asking for your vote simply because I kept my word. I promised if I left there and became something, I would come back and I'll breathe life into my people. And in our darkest hour, during the hurricanes, I did just that. I took our story around the world, globally. I keep my word, and I plan to keep keeping my word. So I look forward to your vote. Thank you. Love you all.
Yes, Michael A. Smith. There's no debate, my people. Vote number 8. I need to enter the Senate to fight on you guys' behalf. You guys will never have a fighter like this, ever. And I try and go infinitely. So, when I get a beginning, I'm going to continue on that part, definitely for the people. Because I am the people's representative. And I want the world to know. You know what I mean? So, I love you guys, and I want you guys to stay royal and divine. You know why? Because you guys are one of a kind. Thank you.
Carla Joseph, number 2 on the ballot. I am consistent. I am dedicated. I'm here to serve the people with a level of humility, integrity, and a lot of energy. I consistently show up, show out, and I use all of my intelligence to bring good legislation to help the people of the Virgin Islands. I'm asking for your support. I support young people. I support our elders every time again. So vote number 2 for the primary election, Carla Joseph, for me and you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Good evening again. My name is Riddell A. Hodge Jr., also known as Rudy, and I'm number 12 on the Democratic primary. We had a wonderful conversation tonight. Please go to my website, electrudy, ELECTRUDI.com, to see my platform. And I'm looking forward to meeting you guys, getting you guys to go out to register to vote, especially the demographic that's in my population. I am the youngest person on this panel right now, and I'm trying to represent the youthful leadership in the Virgin Islands. Again, Riddell A. Hodge Jr., number 12.
All right, Kashif Hamilton, number 1 on your ballot. We can't expect to keep doing the same thing and expect change. So when you go to vote on August 1st, press number 1, Kashif Hamilton, because change takes change.
Good evening again, and thank you all for coming. Joel Brown Connors, 2026. It is time. It is time for integrity, innovation, accountability, and service. Number 10 on your ballot, asking for your vote. If you believe that I can make that change, give me a seat at the table. Also, this Saturday, 12 to 4, I do have a fish fry in the parking lot with our events for the children. Come out with the family and enjoy, ask questions. I'll be there all day, answering all questions you may have. Again, Joel Brown Connors, number 10 on your ballot. Thank you.
It's not easy to put yourself out there for everyone to look into. I choose to run because I want my children and your children to understand what integrity and leadership means. They don't have to go to a dictionary to look at it because we don't have it in our community. I choose to run to show what I've been doing. It's not promises, those are facts. Rather, if it's empowering women, encouraging entrepreneurship, giving scholarships, this is what I've been doing. I'm asking you for your vote, not just for a seat. I want to be part of the community. I want to show up every month, not every 2 years when there is election. I'm asking you for your vote so our children can see what we've been looking for through at least one leader, the one and only leader on the ballot. My headquarters is on Main Street, across from Palm Passage. Please stop by. Let's have a conversation. We are one family. Thank you. Number 9 on the ballot.
Good evening to all. Again, this is Marvin Biden, number 3 on the ballot. Vote for trust. Vote for leadership. Vote for your community. Vote for integrity. Vote for someone who cares. Vote for someone that's really passionate about the quality of life issues in the territory. I am Marvin Blyden, your choice for solutions. That's my slogan because they're the solution to every problem. Thank you so much, and I want to thank everyone being here this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your closing remarks. Audience, ladies and gentlemen, you've been a fantastic audience tonight. Thank you for your participation in this evening's Senatorial Forum, centered on the theme of our future leadership, accountability, and ingenuity. Remember, July 2nd is the last day to register to vote and to change your party. August 1st is primary day. Thank you for your time. Be safe, be well, and please make sure to visit our election office to register to vote if you haven't already done so. See you at the polls on August 1st. Thank you, everyone, and good evening, or good night at this time.
Everybody back in office.